Chapter 645. The sloppy hidden fisher next to Han Fei was called Zhang Teng, who was a 6-star killer. Because he had been fighting outside the sea for a long time, for some reason, he started to do business with sea demons. In Han Fei's opinion, this was simply ridiculous. You killed sea demons every day, but the sea demons still cooperated with you? Yet, they still chose to cooperate with each other. And the senior leaders of the Scattered Stars Island knew about it. Of course, this was immediately over. It was said that he had never been out since he was caught and sent to the Scattered Stars prison. Since no one came, the two of them started chatting. Han Fei mainly wanted to learn something about the Scattered Stars Island from Zhang Teng. After all, a hidden fisher definitely knew more things than he did and knew more about the Scattered Stars Island. They chatted and chatted, 3 and 2, big, I'll be crushed. I'll explode. Straight, the two of them chatted, and actually played cards. Zhang Teng sighed. This thing is a bit interesting. Han Fei grinned. Of course. Don't you know who invented it? Zhang Teng asked, you invented it? Han Fei chuckled. Sorry. But let's stop playing. We've been playing for so long. Why isn't anyone here? Zhang Teng chuckled. No one will come. Han Fei was speechless. Why? Even if you want to interrogate me, you should at least interrogate me, right? Zhang Teng scoffed. You colluded with sea demons. What's there to interrogate? Puff. Han Fei was speechless. Who the hell colluded with sea demons? I killed 2 red demons. How did I collude with sea demons? Zhang Teng asked, when you were first carried in, you were full of demonic energy. At that time, I thought you were a sea demon. Did you transform from a sea demon? Han Fei was speechless. How is it possible? Which part of me looks like a siren? Hiss. You mean, the Scattered Stars prison caught me as a sea demon? Zhang Teng chuckled. Of course. When you came in, I thought you were a sea demon. Even if you were not a sea demon, you were probably related to one. However, after such a long time, the demonic aura on your body seems to be slowly dissipating. That's strange. It doesn't seem like it dissipated into thin air. Instead, it seems like it fused into my body. If you were me, I would definitely catch you too. Han Fei narrowed his eyes. Huh? I absorbed the demonic aura. How come I didn't know? Isn't it because of my healing spell? Han Fei knew that the demonic energy had indeed been absorbed by him. It wasn't as simple as just absorbing it. That thing was simply a great supplement. In the last blow, the mermaid stuffed almost all its remaining demonic chi into its body. Originally, he had intended to destroy the life force in his body so that he would be buried with him. However, it didn't know that Han Fei's physique was so tough, nor did it expect that there was a seed in Han Fei's body that could absorb demonic energy. For the first time, Han Fei took this seed seriously. Previously, when Luo Xiaobai also got a seed, Han Fei thought it was a seed for evolution. Later, Old Bai mentioned that he had to find his own way. Han Fei thought of the path he walked out in a daze in Ren Tianfei's cave and thought this seed was that path. But now, Han Fei was not sure. Why could this thing absorb demonic energy? Zhang Teng smacked his lips and waved his hand. The healing spell can heal wounds, but it can't dispel demonic energy. Although demonic energy will also dissipate, there will always be remnants, and it won't dissipate so quickly. With that said, Zhang Teng squinted at Han Fei. So, you still have something to do with sea demons, right? Han Fei said angrily, bullshit, I have a clean background. I killed the red demon, which the second young master of the Chao family in the 1,000-star city can testify. I killed the red demon with the big fist mark sealed in the ancient jade of the Chao family. Who the hell has anything to do with sea demons? Zhang Teng grinned and said, that's not necessarily true. Maybe some people are sea demons, but they don't know it. But you really don't look like one. Huh? Han Fei glanced sideways. What do you mean? Zhang Ting stretched lazily. You look too much like a human. Puff. Han Fei was speechless. Are you scolding me? I am a human. Why do I look too much like a human? Zhang Ting chuckled and said, if you are a sea demon, then you are too advanced. To be able to transform into a human form, you have to have at least a level 7 demonic heritage. Well, not necessarily, maybe even higher. Han Fei was about to say, my spiritual heritage hasn't reached level 7 yet. How can I have a level 7 demonic heritage? But on second thought, he was horrified and his scalp went numb. He was just a peak-level dangling fisher, and this was the first time he had come to the Scattered Stars Island. How could he know what a demonic heritage was? Why was he so indifferent when he heard it was a demonic heritage? Han Fei didn't even dare to move his eyeballs. He pretended to be in a daze, but in his heart, he suddenly realized. How could this be a prisoner who had been imprisoned for 3 years? This Zhang Teng was definitely a fake prisoner. The reason why he became familiar with him was that he wanted to lure him into giving in. Right now, if he answered this question incorrectly, he would immediately be labeled as a sea demon. At the very least, he would be charged with the crime of colluding with sea demons. Han Fei was stunned. No, wait a minute. What is a demonic heritage? Zhang Teng blinked his eyes faintly and said calmly, oh. You don't know this. The sea demons were actually a race similar to humans. However, we are different from them. We live on the floating island, and they live in the sea, so we are natural enemies. This demonic heritage is similar to our human spiritual heritage. Han Fei was shocked. You mean, sea demons, like us, cultivate with spiritual heritage? Zhang Ting shrugged. We call it demonic heritage. However, no one knows about it. Some people said that they had seen the king of sea demons, who was almost the same as human beings. Wow! Han Fei pretended to be confused. What do you mean? Zhang Ting clicked his tongue and said, like human beings. They are no different from human beings. Their speech, behavior, and cultivation methods are similar. Han Fei couldn't help but say, like human beings. Are they still sea demons? Shouldn't sea demons be full of demonic energy? Zhang Ting said lazily, alas. Maybe. Just like the high-quality spiritual heritage among human beings. Do you know what it feels like to have a level 9 spiritual heritage? Han Fei said weakly, you mean, at that point, even demonic energy will be gone? Zhang Ting combed his dirty hair. That's possible. I'm afraid that it will only be exposed under some special circumstances. For example, seriously injured. While talking, Zhang Ting looked at Han Fei with a smile. Han Fei pointed to himself and sneered. Me? That's too fucking ridiculous. If what you said is true, that kind of person must be a peerless heavenly talent among sea demons. That kind of person is like a treasure no matter where he is. Just like the children of those big clans, who will let the human world take risks. Zhang Ting chuckled. That's true. That's why I said you didn't look like one. With that said, Zhang Ting took out a pot of wine and drank 2 mouthfuls of it. Han Fei was stunned. Where did you get the wine? Zhang Ting blinked at Han Fei and said, just a small trick. I secretly hid a sea-swallowing seashell. But it's been 3 years, and the wine in it is almost finished. Would you like a sip? Han Fei said disdainfully, let me smell it. Humph. Could it be that you're afraid that I've poisoned the wine? Han Fei curled his lips. I'm afraid that your wine is too lousy for me to drink. Zhang Teng was speechless. You don't like it? I don't even want to give it to you. Besides, do you have a chance to get out? Han Fei snorted. I can definitely get out. I'm not a sea demon. If you lock me here indiscriminately, believe it or not, my teacher will come and smash the Scattered Stars prison. Oh. Your teacher is so powerful. Han Fei said proudly, of course. It's not a problem for me to kill a hidden fisher with a slap. Zhang Teng was speechless. You really know how to brag. Do you think a hidden fisher is a yellow fish? Kill a hidden fisher with a slap. Han Fei increasingly felt that this person was not a prisoner. If the Scattered Stars prison was really so powerful, why would they secretly leave a sea-swallowing seashell for you? Are you dreaming? Han Fei said, hey, let me ask you. How do you think the sea demons cultivate? Why do the inferior man-fish look different from the red demons? Zhang Ting exclaimed, you don't know. Han Fei was speechless. I'm not a sea demon. How would I know? Zhang Ting snorted. Well. In fact, they are not much different from humans. In fact, sea demons are also divided into levels. Some creatures will become demons only after they have spiritual intelligence at the beginning. We call it spirit awakening. The lowest level sea demons have 3 realms: spirit awakening, transcending mortality, and spirit guarding. In theory, they correspond to the 3 realms of fisherman, fishing master, and great fishing master respectively. Han Fei was amused. Can they be called demons? Zhang Ting said, listen to me. After spirit guarding is awakening. Once a creature awakens, it will really have spiritual intelligence and can officially cultivate. In theory, it is the same level as a dangling fisher. Of course, there may be awakening at any stage, and there are naturally very strong creatures who still haven't awakened, so it's just a theoretical correspondence. Han Fei asked, what happens after that? Zhang Ting asked, after that? After awakening, it can only go through the demonic transformation stage, in which it will continue to grow and complete self-transformation. In this way, it will really become a sea demon. So, the demonic transformation stage is equivalent to a hanging fisher, and the sea demon stage is equivalent to a hidden fisher. And above this, there is transcending mortality. At the sea demon stage, it has full spiritual intelligence and is no weaker than human beings. If it continues to pursue, it will become a sea spirit. At that time, it can be said that this sea demon has cultivated to the highest level. Han Fei's eyes flickered. Spirit awakening, transcending mortality, spirit guarding, awakening, demonic transformation, sea demon, sea spirit, sea demons actually followed such a path of cultivation. Under normal circumstances, a sea spirit was already equivalent to a powerhouse at the level of law enforcer. But there was still a problem. Yang Ruoyun was only at the demonic transformation stage, wasn't she? Why was she basically the same as a human after transforming? Chapter 646. Han Fei was quite curious about the cultivation path of sea demons and asked Zhang Teng. In any case, this Zhang Teng was a fake, so he definitely knew a lot. He still didn't want to expose himself and pretended to be a prisoner. Logically speaking, he would tell her everything he knew. Han Fei sat cross-legged and leaned against Zhang Teng's cage. What happened after that? What came after the sea spirit? Let me think. Isn't that the same level as an explorer? Zhang Teng was puzzled. It doesn't seem right for this kid to ask me like a fool. Did he really have nothing to do with the sirens? Zhang Teng also said with a smile, theoretically, yes. But that level was already too high. Who knew? Even now, the red demons we've seen are basically all in the demonization realm. But don't think that the demonization realm necessarily corresponds to the hanging fisher. This sea monster is different from human beings. Sometimes, even if it has the strength of a hidden fisher, it is still in the demonization state. I don't know if they are divided by realms. Han Fei clicked his tongue and said, I don't think so. Let's say a level 100 big fish, such as a cloud whale, suddenly demonized. Do you think it's still in the demonization realm? Zhang Teng waved his hand. I don't know. Who knows? Han Fei sighed. Forget it. What does it have to do with me? I'm the man who killed the red demon. Immediately, Han Fei opened the cage and shouted, "Is anyone here? Is there anyone here? Did they all fall into the trench?" Zhang Ting sneered, "Stop shouting. If shouting was of any use, I would have left long ago." Han Fei snorted. "Why should I? I'm the prodigy who killed the red demon." Zhang Teng was speechless. What's the big deal about killing a red demon? Beneath our feet, there are people who have killed groups of sea spirit level powerhouses. Aren't they also locked up? Han Fei was stunned. What did you say? He killed a sea spirit? That is to say, there are super experts in this prison who have killed law enforcement officers before? Zhang Teng shrugged noncommittally. Han Fei immediately gasped. Shoot! It's right under our feet. Zhang Teng chuckled. Yes. The 4th floor. Han Fei looked at Zhang Teng suspiciously. Aren't you a prisoner? How do you know there's a 4th level of the Scattered Stars prison? Zhang Teng said, I'm a prisoner, but I'm also a powerhouse. I was originally an existence that could have become a 7-star powerhouse. What's wrong with knowing this? Han Fei swallowed. Why is the existence who killed the sea spirits locked in the Scattered Stars prison? Zhang Teng shook his head. Who knows? What if he was in love with sea spirit? After all, sea spirits shouldn't be much different from humans. Tisk. Han Fei said in disdain, old man, who's crazy enough to fall in love with a fish. Zhang Teng chuckled. That's true. It's none of our business anyway. After chatting for a long time, Han Fei pretended to be a novice. At the same time, he was thinking about how he could prove himself in front of Zhang Teng. Han Fei racked his brains. In this day and age, as a human, he had to find ways to prove that he was a human. It was really hard to be a human. So, Han Fei practiced the 108 Desolate God body in the cage. At this moment, the 108 Desolate God body was a heaven-level divine quality combat skill, which could absorb spiritual energy from the void. Han Fei stepped on the ground, and a spirit gathering array appeared. Then he began to practice the 108 Desolate God body. The surrounding spiritual energy was gathering, which was extremely pure. Zhang Teng was fooled. Ha! What kind of body tempering technique is this? It seems to be of a high level. Han Fei smiled. Of course. Don't you know where I come from? Zhang Teng asked, where are you from? If I tell you, I'm afraid you'll be scared to death. Zhang Teng sneered. When I was dominating the sea, did I grow up scared? Han Fei grinned. It's different. Do you know the Thug Academy? It's the Thug Academy that once swept through the 36 towns and the 1,000-star city. This body tempering technique was left by the first-generation ancestor of the Thug Academy. Zhang Teng rolled his eyes. It was the first time that he had seen someone so boastful. I've already thoroughly investigated your background. If it weren't for the fact that you're from the Thug Academy, I wouldn't have bothered to pretend to be a prisoner. I would have killed you as soon as possible. However, what was body tempering? Physique, meridians, and bones. At this moment, pure spiritual energy was flowing in Han Fei's meridians. The spiritual energy flowed slowly, and Han Fei didn't even hesitate to go through the circulation route. After watching for a while, Zhang Teng finally confirmed that Han Fei was a human being. He didn't know if sea demons had such meridians. It was easy to see the problem when one was cultivating. If Han Fei was really a sea demon, his spiritual energy couldn't be so pure. Ahem. Well. Don't disturb me. I'm cultivating. Zhang Teng hesitated. Actually, Han Fei said angrily, oh, I told you not to talk. I'm going to cultivate early and become a hanging fisher. Zhang Teng was speechless and then laughed. With a turn of his body, he had already appeared outside the cage. When he walked to Han Fei's cage, Han Fei saw someone and immediately raised his head, then Han Fei sat on the ground. Fuck. Why did you go out? Han Fei looked at the cage next door. There was no one there. Seeing Han Fei's astonished expression, the corners of Zhang Teng's mouth gradually curled up. With a burst of spiritual energy, all the dirt on his body was removed, and a brand new dark green robe was put on his body. Hanging on his waist was a 7-star waist token, and hanging together with the 7-star waist token was a prison token. Han Fei was dumbfounded. His eyes fell on the prison token, and a myriad of thoughts flashed through his mind. The prison token, is it the token of the Scattered Stars prison? Why is the token of the Scattered Stars prison with the hexagon starfish? Han Fei thought about it and was puzzled. The hexagon starfish was locked in the ordinary fishery by Ren Tianfei 300 years ago. So, it was reasonable to say that his prison token was at least a product of 300 years ago. If it was a 7-star super expert like hexagon starfish who had the prison token, how could the hexagon starfish have the prison token? Thinking of this, it seemed extremely strange that the prison token appeared in the treasure door of the hexagon starfish. Han Fei remembered that he had asked the hexagon starfish where this prison token came from. The hexagon starfish said it didn't remember. How could the hexagon starfish remember? It only liked shiny things. It would be strange if it could remember this blackened prison token. Therefore, it couldn't have been picked up from the bottom of the sea by the hexagon starfish. Since it was not picked up, it must have been put in by someone. Who put it in? Why put it in the treasure door of the hexagon starfish? The only person Han Fei could think of was Ren Tianfei. Why did Ren Tianfei put the prison token in the treasure door of the hexagon starfish? Was it for Han Fei? Wow! Han Fei couldn't help but take a breath. If this was the case, why didn't Ren Tianfei say it directly? Han Fei was lost in thought for a moment. If it wasn't Ren Tianfei who put the prison token, then who did it? However, in the eyes of Zhang Teng, he thought that Han Fei was surprised to see that he had become a 7-star master. He was very satisfied with Han Fei's current expression, which was even more comfortable than flattering him. Little did he know that the two of them were thinking about two different things. Cough, cough. Zhang Ting said leisurely, Han Fei, one of the deputy captains of the 8th Battalion of the 3rd Column. After 30 years, the first generation of the Thug Academy is really extraordinary. It's really commendable that you dare to challenge a red demon at such a young age. Han Fei suddenly came back to his senses. Are you testing me? Zhang Teng nodded noncommittally. More or less. Although I'm basically sure that you are not a sea demon now, I still have a few questions to ask you. Han Fei pretended to be angry. Go ahead. Zhang Teng asked, first, what is the ring on your hand? I've pinched it. It's extremely hard and can't be broken or taken off. Unless you cut off your finger, even I can't take it out. Han Fei sneered. Then why didn't you cut off my hand? Zhang Ting said with a smile, I wanted to, but when I tried to cut off that finger, a strange power burst out and almost hurt me. This is not an ordinary method. If I really cut off your hand, it would be quite dangerous. Han Fei bared his teeth and said angrily, I made a great contribution and you still want to cut off my hand? Zhang Ting smiled faintly. I didn't cut it off. So, what exactly is this? Han Fei snorted. It's a protective item given by an elder. Fortunately, you didn't cut it off. Otherwise, I'm afraid you will regret it. Zhang Ting narrowed his eyes and didn't care. He just felt that he might have underestimated the Thug Academy. Zhang Ting nodded. Okay, let's not talk about this for now. Let me ask you about your physique. Did you cultivate your current physique through that body refining technique just now? Han Fei frowned. Here it comes, Ren Tianfei said that before coming to the unknown place, he should cultivate a body refining technique. He must not expose the indestructible body. Sure enough, someone began to doubt his physique. Han Fei rolled his eyes and said, isn't that obvious? My body refining technique just now was not strong enough. However, don't even think about it. I won't teach it to anyone. If you dare to rob it, seriously, you will have to be afraid of the revenge of the Thug Academy. Chapter 647. Han Fei looked at Zhang Ting calmly without moving his eyes. Who told you that this is a heaven-level high-quality body tempering technique? Zhang Ting was shocked. Then, what level is it? Han Fei grinned faintly. Heaven level, divine quality. Impossible. Zhang Ting suddenly grabbed the cage and glared at Han Fei. There is no divine quality in this world. Han Fei laughed. I give you a chance. Go to the Thug Academy and ask them. As long as you are not afraid of being thrown out, you are welcome to ask them. The Thug Academy once swept the 1,000-star city. Do you really think we don't have any trump cards? Let alone the Thug Academy, which big clans in the 1,000-star city have such a powerful technique? Why don't you go and ask them? Zhang Ting stared at Han Fei. Humph, do you think I dare not? I will continue to investigate this matter. Han Fei said frankly, you are welcome to investigate. Han Fei was calm. It was impossible for Zhang Ting to find out the problem. Of course, Old Bai had long seen that there was a problem with the body tempering technique he cultivated. It was the 108 spirit-absorbing war bodies before, and now it was the 108 desolate god body. No matter which one it was, theoretically, it was impossible to reach his current physique. Old Bai didn't know that. But he didn't ask, which made Han Fei happy. Besides, Han Fei suspected that even if Old Bai knew that he cultivated the indestructible body, what could he do? Although he didn't know the secrets of the Thug Academy, he was sure that they had a grudge against the 1,000-star city. Only some people in the 1,000-star city were qualified to have a grudge against the Thug Academy. Otherwise, according to Old Bai's character, the Thug Academy wouldn't have suffered so easily. Han Fei said with a smile, Master Zhang, do you have any other questions? I will tell you everything I know. Zhang Ting restrained his momentum and said with a smile, I do have some questions, but you can't answer them. How did the demonic energy in your body disappear? Don't even think about getting away with it. Han Fei said indifferently, Hey. Have you ever heard of a law? Zhang Ting asked, Law? What law? Han Fei shrugged. The law of conservation of energy. Zhang Ting frowned. What is this? Han Fei grinned. You should have known it. Everything in the world was energy. Matter would not be annihilated and would only continue to exist in this world in a certain way. Although I really don't know what's going on with the demonic aura, I'm not a demon after all. Why must you ask me where the demonic aura went? I can only say that it turned into another kind of energy. Perhaps it will be absorbed by me, or perhaps it will dissipate into the world. No matter what, I don't think it will be a big problem. Zhang Ting sneered. What law of conservation of energy? This was the normal heavenly Tao. Your explanation does make sense, but... Zhang Ting stretched out 2 fingers, pointed at his eyes, and then pointed at Han Fei. If there's something wrong with you, you can't escape my eyes. Creak. The cage suddenly opened automatically. Zhang Ting said indifferently, All right, let's go. Han Fei asked in surprise, You're letting me go? Zhang Ting smiled and said, Why don't you continue to stay here? I didn't lie to you when I told you before. This 3rd floor was really built to detain hidden fissures. Han Fei looked at the empty cells. So, the previous hidden fissures here were really sent to the battlefield to die? Of course. Passing through the 2nd floor and the 1st floor, Han Fei met a total of 3 jailers. Han Fei's eyes had been staring at their waists. When he found that only Zhang Ting had this prison token, he knew that his prison token definitely didn't exist in the treasure gate of the hexagon starfish for no reason. On the ground. It was not sunlight, but a big dark room. He couldn't see anything. Out of the room, there was a yard. At this moment, there was a gate on the ground in the yard. Han Fei found that Wang Dashuai, Xia Shaochan, Zhang Xuanyu, Lu Renquang, Luo Xiaobai, and Chao Qiu were all here. At the moment when Zhang Ting came out, the gate hung in the sky, turned into a huge shadow, and slammed directly at Zhang Ting. Seeing this, Han Fei immediately jumped to the side. Zhang Ting punched horizontally, and with a thud, he took 7 or 8 steps back. Zhang Ting said angrily, "Wang Dashui, don't be presumptuous. Don't forget where this place is." Although there was a touch of anger on Wang Dashui's face, he still didn't look ferocious. However, his tone was extremely domineering. "My junior brother has made a great contribution. How dare you doubt my junior brother? You're courting death." The gate was raised by Wang Dashui and slammed down from the sky like a huge flat brick. With a bang, the whole room was smashed into powder. 2 big axes appeared in Zhang Ting's hands, blocking the gate, and he shouted angrily, "Wang Dashui, it's not your business to arrest people in the Scattered Stars prison." Wang Dashui didn't have such awareness. His body, which was as strong as a hill, broke through the air. As the giant gate flapped, a gust of wind blew, and the 7-star Zhang Teng was blasted out one after another. Enough! Zhang Teng's axes flashed in the air. "Wang Dashui, do you also want to enter the Scattered Stars prison?" Wang Dashui grinned. "Have a try." At this moment, Han Fei shouted, "Senior brother Dashui, senior brother Dashui, forget it, forget it." Wang Dashui stopped and his face turned ugly. "Huh? Forget it? Little junior brother, this son of a bitch didn't embarrass you, did he?" Han Fei showed a weird smile. "Senior brother Dashui, it's okay. I had a good talk with Master Zhang Teng in the prison." Xia Xiaochan appeared beside Han Fei. "Humph, what do you mean good talk? I heard that you were carried in while unconscious." The hexagon starfish was hanging on Xia Xiaochan's shoulder. "I helped. But they took you in, and I couldn't help them." Han Fei smoothed Xia Xiaochan's hair. "It's nothing, nothing." Then Han Fei looked at the hexagon starfish. "For the sake of your bravery that day, I'll get you some treasures later." The hexagon starfish's eyes lit up. "Really? You won't lie to me?" "Of course, the benefits are beyond your imagination." "Fei Fei, are you all right?" Lu Rinquang asked. "Han Fei, did he embarrass you? I heard that no one in the Scattered Stars prison has a good ending." Chao Qiu nodded again and again. "Yes, I immediately went to find reinforcements. But I didn't get you out until now." Han Fei looked back at the house that had become a ruin and said with a smile, "It's okay. I really had a good talk with Master Zhang Teng. Maybe I'll come again in the future. I'd better show some mercy." "Again?" Wang Dashui stared at him. "This place is not good. Let's not come again." Han Fei smiled and said, "Who knows? Master Zhang, I won't pay for this house. The sea-swallowing seashells that were taken from me should be enough." Wang Dashui turned his head. "Give me back my sea-swallowing seashells." Han Fei quickly pulled Wang Dashui over. "Hey, senior brother Dashui, it's just a sea-swallowing seashell. Don't be so generous." Wang Dashui chuckled. "Little junior brother, it doesn't matter." Clang! Wang Dashui shouldered the door and glanced at Zhang Teng. "Fortunately, my little junior brother is fine. Otherwise, I would have smashed you into a fish skin." The corners of Zhang Teng's mouth trembled and he sneered. "Really? Let's talk about it after you get a 7-star title." Wang Dashui asked, "Little junior brother, let's go." Han Fei had already taken Xia Xiaochan's hand. "Let's find a place to have a meal. I haven't eaten for a long time." After leaving the Scattered Stars prison, Han Fei found that this place was as remote as the Scattered Stars 7 units. Wang Dashui said, "Here. There are a lot of people and masters watching it." Han Fei was stunned. "Senior brother, why did you smash someone's house? Won't anyone make trouble for you?" Wang Dashui shook his head. "It's okay. Some people are just watching. They won't do anything unless something big happens." Han Fei clicked his tongue. Chao Chiu, thank you. Chao Chiu chuckled. You do have to thank me. If I hadn't fished you out of the sea, you would have been eaten by countless marine creatures. Han Fei asked, what happened then? Was there a fish tide? Chao Chiu shook his head. Didn't we set off the highest alarm? All of a sudden, 8 guard regiments came and directly flattened the skeleton shore. Han Fei let out a long breath. That's good. Xia Shaochan glared at Han Fei. What's good about it? I heard that you were almost killed. Han Fei bared his teeth. How can I be killed so easily? However, the enemy's combat power was indeed beyond my expectations. Let me tell you, we must not fight head-on with creatures at the level of hidden fissures. We really can't beat them. Everyone rolled their eyes. Isn't that nonsense? Don't you know what realm you are in? Isn't it enough for you to kill peak-level hanging fissures? Now you want to kill hidden fissures. Chao Chiu said regretfully, give me 2 ancient jades. Han Fei patted Chao Chiu on the shoulder. This time, all the credit is yours, and all the points are yours. In addition, I will seal spirits in all your ultra-quality weapons. Chao Chiu was surprised. Ha! Han Fei, you are generous. Han Fei was taken aback. Really? Everyone nodded. Yes. When Han Fei was about to give the hexagon starfish a reward, everyone was surprised. When did Han Fei become so generous? Han Fei chuckled. It doesn't matter whether it's money or not. I just want to be happy. Let's go. Have a good meal. Chapter 648. They didn't intend to bother Wang Dashui at the beginning of the Scattered Stars Island. After all, Wang Dashui had left the Thug Academy before. Although they felt close, they were not as close as the 5 of them. Moreover, when they needed to use Wang Dashui, it meant that they had already started to stir up trouble. This is not a good start. At this moment, everyone found a random place in the Hengduan mountain range and began to eat hot pot. Luo Xiaobai frowned. Senior brother, someone is spying on us. In the forest, Luo Xiaobai's perception range should be the furthest. With plants as her eyes, she knew the surroundings better than Han Fei did. Wang Dashui said innocently, it's okay. It's not the Scattered Stars prison. Anyone who goes deeper into the Hengduan mountain range will basically be monitored. Are there any secrets in the Transverse Mountain? Zhang Ting told him that one of the largest producers of spirit awakening fluid was inside the Transverse Mountain. If that was the case, the entire Transverse Mountain should be the most heavily guarded place on the Scattered Stars Island. At that time, Han Fei wondered why Zhang Ting talked to him. Zhang Ting was very confident about the safety of the Spirit Awakening Fluid collection area in the Transverse Mountain. He was telling Han Fei to see if there would be any follow-up actions after guessing Han Fei's identity. Wang Dashui smiled and said, yes. However, there was no need to worry about it, and there was no need to rush in. Most of the experts in Fragmentary Star City are in the Transverse Mountain range. Han Fei's heart skipped a beat. Sure enough, all the strong masters are here. It meant that this was the safest place on the Scattered Stars Island. Picking up a piece of lobster meat, Han Fei asked, Senior brother, do you know where there are plantations on the island? Wang Dashui's mouth was covered with oil. He was holding a large piece of sea cucumber meat in his hands and gnawing on it. After hearing Han Fei's words, he couldn't help but say in astonishment, plantation. Are there any plantations on the Scattered Stars Island? Xia Shaochan and the others also looked at Han Fei. Does the Thug Academy have territory on the Scattered Stars Island too? Han Fei grinned. I guessed. Han Fei was puzzled. That's impossible. According to old Jiang and Jiang Qin's personalities, if they lived on the Scattered Stars Island for a long time, how could they not establish a plantation? I think it's possible. What if we still have martial uncles on the Scattered Stars Island? Wang Dashui shook his head. No, martial uncle didn't. You still have a senior sister and senior brother, but they are not on the island now. Eh? Xia Shaochan asked, senior brother and senior sister. Lu Rinquang quickly said, then including you, senior brother Dashui, there are 3 of you, right? Wang Dashui smiled. Yes. They go out, I watch the house. By the way, try not to go to sea before you become intermediate hanging fishers. With that, Wang Dashui looked at Han Fei. Little junior brother, don't go out for the time being. Is it very dangerous? Wang Dashui glanced at Chao Qiu, who was engrossed in eating, and patted Chao Qiu with his big hand. Well, do you want to go back first? Chao Qiu paused for a moment. I'm just having a meal. I won't eavesdrop. Xia Shaochan tilted her head and looked at Chao Qiu. Is it delicious? Chao Qiu's mouth froze and he thought, I really won't eavesdrop. Han Fei thought for a while. After all, he could win this time because of Chao Qiu's 2 ancient jades. That thing was extremely precious, and not everyone could have a blow from a peak-level hidden fisher. That sea demon was only a junior hidden fisher. After being poisoned and hit at close range, he died. Han Fei said, senior brother, it doesn't matter. Just don't talk about the important things. Wang Dashui chuckled. It's not a big deal. It's just that your senior brother and senior sister have a lot of enemies outside. If you don't hide your identity, you may get into trouble when you go out. Everyone looked at each other and understood. Just like when they were in the level 3 fishery, they caused a lot of trouble and were hunted by the whole fishery. It was normal for them to be implicated. Chao Qiu muttered. He had checked the Thug Academy when he went back. Unfortunately, he only found that the Thug Academy used to be very powerful. However, most of the information had long been erased and couldn't be found at all. Now it seemed that this school was not simple. The people who came out seemed to be very powerful. Han Fei was wondering if he should ask Wang Dashui about the boneyard. But on second thought, he hadn't even found old Jiang yet. Why would he ask about the boneyard? In the end, under the strong condemnation of everyone, Han Fei was asked to keep a low profile in the future. After the meal, they didn't stay long. Since Han Fei was fine, they could go back. Xia Shaochan hadn't left, and neither had Chao Qiu. At this moment, both Han Fei and Xia Shaochan were staring at him. Chao Qiu looked dumbfounded. Why are you looking at me? Han Fei said grumpily, why are you still here? Are you going to stay with us when we are in love? Chao Qiu suddenly understood. Oh. Then I'm leaving. Smack. After Chao Qiu left, Han Fei was slapped on the back. He looked back, only to see Xia Shaochan glaring at him fiercely. Are you bold now? You haven't even become a hanging fisher yet, but you provoked a hidden fisher. Han Fei was speechless. I didn't. They came to me. Xia Shaochan scoffed. When you took the big starfish away, I felt something was wrong. I asked you and you said it was fine. Han Fei scoffed. It was fine. If you don't believe me, ask Master Hexagon. At this moment, the hexagon starfish clung to Xia Shaochan's shoulder. Yes. Starfish almost died. Han Fei was angry. Don't you know how to talk? Can you be a little more sensible? Xia Shaochan snorted. Forget it, can you still fight now? Han Fei froze for a moment. What's wrong? I can fight. Xia Shaochan blushed slightly. Then take me to a place to fight. I feel. Han Fei's face changed. Are you going to have an attack? Xia Shaochan nodded. After coming to the Scattered Stars Island, I almost had an attack several times. However, it wasn't very strong. I'm going to break out all at once. Han Fei couldn't help but take a breath. Wait, can you control the time of your attack? Xia Shaochan tilted her head. I can barely suppress it. Once I stop suppressing it, it may break out. I can't suppress it for the next 2 days, so I may have to fight. Han Fei looked serious. He immediately put aside the thought of dating. Let's go to the skeleton shore with me. Xia Xiaochan was surprised. Didn't a big battle just take place there? It's because a big battle has just taken place that it's safe. 2 hours later. Han Fei lay panting in the door of the hexagon starfish, casting the divine healing technique on himself one after another. Han Fei muttered, "You're too strong, aren't you? Now that you have an attack, all you take out are divine weapons, and you destroyed 8 sets of my ultra-quality battle suits." Xia Xiaochan squatted beside Han Fei aggrievedly. Then. Does it hurt? Han Fei coughed. Hurt? Of course. It hurts. Han Fei couldn't help but think of the battle just now. Xia Xiaochan's strength had improved even faster. After breaking through to a junior hanging fisher, Xia Xiaochan's combat power was no less than that of a peak-level hanging fisher when she used the divine dagger. Of course, the main reason was the pair of divine weapons. If Xia Xiaochan had a pair of ultra-quality spiritual daggers, she wouldn't have been so embarrassed. Her stomach had been stabbed 7 times and there were no less than 50 wounds all over her body. It was all thanks to him. If it were someone else, such as that idiot rival in love, Gong Wenhai, he would definitely have been stabbed to death by Xia Xiaochan. Xia Xiaochan reached out her hand in embarrassment. Then, I'll give you a massage, cough. Well, girl, give me a kiss. It can also relieve the pain. In your dreams, since Xia Xiaochan gradually mastered certain things about love, it was not easy to cheat her anymore. She was not as simple and easy to kidnap as she used to be. If he had known this earlier, he would have taken a step further, and he wouldn't have been so passive now. Han Fei couldn't help but feel sorry. What a big loss. Alas. Xia Xiaochan suddenly sighed. I don't know why, but recently my cultivation has become more and more smooth. I feel that my strength is growing rapidly. I should be able to break through to an intermediate hanging fisher in less than 2 months. Han Fei was speechless and almost vomited blood. Listen, is this even human? I've tried my best, but I barely made a breakthrough. Even if I had a chance, I still haven't been able to break through to a hanging fisher. You, on the other hand, actually complained that your cultivation speed was a little too fast. Han Fei gritted his teeth. Then it seems that I have to break through to a hanging fisher as soon as possible. Otherwise, in another 2 months, if you have an attack, I'm afraid you'll hack me to death. Xia Xiaochan squatted on the ground, holding her chin with one hand, unhappy. Han Fei said, close your eyes. Xia Xiaochan shrank back. I won't. Han Fei said with a smile, I have a gift for you. Xia Xiaochan asked, really? Close your eyes first. Ah. Han Fei, you are shameless. Han Fei laughed. Kiss me if you can. I'll kill you. After a while, Han Fei lay on the ground. Okay, stop it. I really have a gift. With that, Han Fei took out about 500 caddies of spirit awakening fluid. This time, he actually obtained less than 5,000 caddies of spirit awakening fluid. The mermaid also lied to him. Her sea-swallowing seashell only contained more than 3,000 caddies. However, Han Fei was already satisfied. This thing was not cabbage, so 3,000 caddies was not a small amount. Xia Xiaochan was shocked. Ha! Spirit awakening fluid? Han Fei handed it over and said, I got it from a sea monster. Otherwise, why do you think I fought that battle? Xia Xiaochan was stunned but didn't take it. She said, I can't use it now. Huh? Why? Xia Xiaochan said, as I said, my strength is growing very fast now. I need to suppress it. If you give me the spirit awakening fluid, how can I suppress it? Han Fei was suspicious. Maybe it can suppress your illness. Xia Xiaochan shook her head. It can't. I drank a lot of spirit awakening fluid last time, but it didn't help at all. On the contrary, it seems to be able to promote my strength faster. Xia Xiaochan didn't want it. The hexagon starfish quickly said, you don't want it, but I want it. Starfish wants it. Starfish is in urgent need of spirit awakening fluid now. I think I can make a breakthrough now. Han Fei was speechless and frowned. You want it? You want everything. For the sake of your contribution, I'll give you 200 caddies first. Don't drink too much. Chapter 649. When Xia Xiaochan left, she was going to leave the hexagon starfish behind. She felt that Han Fei was the troublemaker. But Han Fei refused on the grounds that he would be monitored for a while and it was inconvenient to take Mr. Hexagon Starfish with him. As for the spirit awakening fluid, although it was good stuff, Xia Xiaochan didn't want it. In her words, she needed to suppress her realm. In the camp on the skeleton shore. When Han Fei returned, many people swarmed up to him. Wu Xiaoxiao asked, Captain, you're finally back. Yu Lingyun exclaimed, Huh, Captain, your strength seems to have improved a bit too fast. Someone said, Captain, are you okay? I heard that you were seriously injured in the battle a few days ago. Han Fei smiled. I'm fine. I'm back safely, aren't I? Come on, it's time to collect interest. I was seriously injured this time and spent a lot of money. Everyone, hurry up and pay back the money. I'm going to buy medicine. At the mention of interest, everyone's faces immediately turned gloomy. Now, the members of the 8th Battalion were all well off. They were all so poor that they didn't even dare to go out on their days off and only dared to scavenge in the sea. Han Fei grinned and laughed. This time, it was more daunting than dangerous, and he had gained huge benefits. Not to mention the spirit awakening fluid, the interest he collected this time was enough to make Han Fei's heart ache. And this didn't include the honor points from the previous battle. After a while, his credit points would soon exceed 2 million. Although it was still far from 8 million points, it would accumulate. However, many a little makes a mickle. By the time almost everyone had repaid their debts, they would have enough points. After collecting the points, Han Fei said with a smile, you're dismissed. Recently, we have to observe carefully and can't slack off. Yu Lingyun, come with me. In the woods. Yu Lingyun asked, Captain, what's the matter? Han Fei asked, tell me, what happened after that day? Yu Lingyun was stunned for a moment and immediately said, Captain, after you sent a message to all the members to attack that day, we actually didn't fight for long. Because the highest alarm was issued, reinforcements came quickly. Nearly 20,000 people entered the sea and fought unstoppably, almost wiping out the sea creatures on the skeleton shore. Han Fei took a breath. I'm not asking about that. What I'm asking is, after that day, did any experts come to investigate? Yu Lingyun looked at Han Fei and nodded solemnly. Yes, and more than once. Especially the area where you fought. The day after that, it was marked as a forbidden area, and there were people searching for something there. Han Fei was lost in thought. He didn't tell anyone about the half-mermaids, but others might know. Experts could infer the battlefield from the aftermath of the battle. Han Fei wasn't sure whether the half-mermaid had been discovered or not. However, even if someone came to ask, he could just say that the other party had run away. Anyway, it was impossible for them to find the mermaid's body. Besides, Chao Chio's ancient jade was so powerful that the half-mermaid was killed before it had a chance to exert its power. There shouldn't be many traces left. Chao Chio was still studying his poison god. When he saw Han Fei, the first thing Chao Chio said was, did the poison god work? Han Fei thought for a moment. After the poison god wrapped the half-mermaid, the latter was swallowing its internal organs. He had seen it with his own eyes, so he nodded. I saw it. The god of poison is indeed more domineering than the king of poison. Chao Chio asked, but it takes time, right? Han Fei was confused. Huh? Chao Chio rubbed his head. I've thought about it. It takes time for the poison to take effect. In the face of a strong expert, there is no poison that can seal the throat. So, I just tried to adjust the formula of the poison god. Han Fei frowned. Did you adjust it again? Chao Chiu grinned. But I added the chaotic spirit grass in it. After the poison god enters the body, it will quickly explode and scatter. In this way, the poison effect can be quickly detonated. The corner of Han Fei's mouth twitched. Take your time to study it. I brought you a gift. Chao Chiu asked, what? Han Fei took out 500 kilograms of spirit awakening fluid and gave it to him. This was found on the sea demons. There are 1,000 kilograms in total. Let's split it in half. After all, what really killed them was the powerful attack sealed in the ancient jade. Chao Chiu's eyes widened. Spirit awakening fluid? 500 kilograms? Isn't that equivalent to 5 million points? For Chao Chiu, he was not short of money, but he was seriously short of points. He didn't fight, so he didn't have a source of points. And there was very little spirit awakening fluid on the market, most of which could only be exchanged with points. As a result, spirit awakening fluid couldn't be bought even if he had money. No matter how powerful the Chao family was in the Thousand-Star City, it was not easy for one person to get 500 kilograms of spirit awakening fluid. This was impossible. At this moment, Chao Chiu grinned from ear to ear. 500 kilograms. Maybe I can be reborn once. Han Fei asked in surprise, what do you mean by rebirth? Don't you know? Han Fei. Chao Chiu was speechless. You don't know? Spirit awakening fluid, it is said that if you take it, you can nourish your body for a long time and slowly refine yourself into a flawless body. There is even a certain chance that it will promote the growth of your spiritual heritage. That's amazing. Han Fei frowned. Is it that amazing? If it's really so powerful, wouldn't the sea demons have already cultivated peerless sea demons? Wouldn't it be a piece of cake to attack the Scattered Stars Island? Chao Chiu chuckled. I don't know. Let me try it first. Han Fei didn't feel bad about giving the spirit awakening fluid to Chao Chiu. Although this little fatty refused to fight, he had a lot of good stuff on him. As the saying went, it was not difficult to borrow again. Han Fei didn't want to let go of this guy. Han Fei said, well, Ball. Do you still have that ancient jade? Give me another one. Chao Chiu immediately shrank his body. No, no. I can't give it to you now. What if you make trouble again? Han Fei was a little surprised. This time Grass Ball's attitude was quite resolute. He thought that after a while, he would find another way to fool him. That was a powerful life-saving means. After chatting with Chao Chiu for a while, Han Fei entered his hut. After setting up a concealment array, Han Fei did not summon Little Black and Little White, but took out a bottle of spirit awakening fluid and began to drink it. Today, when fighting with Xia Shaochan, Han Fei discovered one thing. When the gap between realms was getting bigger and bigger, he was indeed not so strong. He had to break through to the Hanging Fisher realm as soon as possible so that he wouldn't be so passive in terms of combat power and other comprehensive aspects. After drinking 10 kilograms of spirit awakening fluid in one breath, Han Fei only felt that his head was dizzy, as if he were drunk, as if he was in a fog. In front of him, a flash of black light flashed and disappeared without a trace. Ha! Black light? Black and light were rebellious words. Black was darkness, and light was light. It was impossible for these two to appear at the same time. But at that moment, Han Fei clearly felt it. However, before he thought too much, Han Fei felt refreshed as if a spring breeze and drizzle had brushed his heart. Han Fei felt that his meridians were numb, and wisps of dense emerald green were fusing into his flesh and bones. Huh! Han Fei magically discovered that his physique seemed to be changing slightly. This feeling was similar to the feeling when he swallowed a spiritual fruit for the first time. Because his physique was too poor, his body was being cleansed. The effect of 10 kilograms of spirit awakening fluid soon dissipated, and Han Fei immediately swallowed a few more kilograms without hesitation. Then, Han Fei discovered a strange phenomenon. His upper limit of spiritual energy, which had reached 7,912 points, was slowly decreasing, slowly becoming 7,900 points, 7,850 points, 7,800 points. When the upper limit of spiritual energy was reduced to 7,800 points, Han Fei didn't feel that his physique had become weaker, but that his control of power and spiritual energy tolerance seemed to be a little better than before. Immediately afterward, the data began to rise. After taking 50 kilograms of spirit awakening fluid, Han Fei's data had risen to 7,900 points again. After taking 100 kilograms of spirit awakening fluid, Han Fei's data had reached 7,980 points. The last point seemed to be particularly difficult. After consuming another 100 kilograms of spirit awakening fluid, Han Fei suddenly found that he had reached the level of a peak-level dangling fisher, and his upper limit of spiritual energy was stuck at 7,999 points. Wow! Can I make a breakthrough? Han Fei was a little stunned. Before, when he obtained spirit awakening fluid, he gave it all to Little Black. At that time, because the quantity was relatively small, he was reluctant to use it himself. But now, Han Fei found that the effect seemed to be even better when used by humans. Immediately, Han Fei practiced the 108 Desolate God body again, only to find that the feeling of body tempering was slightly better. Besides, the upper limit of spiritual energy didn't change at all. Sure enough, the spirit awakening fluid, just like the swallowed spirit soup, can directly improve my physique. Han Fei was very sure that it was not this spirit awakening fluid that could directly improve his realm, but the spirit awakening fluid was changing his physique. Although he swallowed 200 kilograms, his upper limit of spiritual energy was only pushed to 7,999 points. However, this change was caused by the change in his physique. And now, after Han Fei broke through to a peak-level dangling fisher, it seemed that he was about to break through again in just a few days. This seemed a little too fast. Forget it, let's wait for half a month. Han Fei didn't choose to make a breakthrough immediately. He had just been caught by the scattered star prison and must be watched. In the eyes of others, breaking through to a peak-level dangling fisher was a piece of cake. However, if he made a breakthrough in less than 3 days, it would be suspicious in the eyes of those who were observant. Chapter 650. A month later. There was only a small fish tied on the skeleton shore during this period, and nothing major happened. Every day, everyone still scavenged and hunted in the sea day and night. In order to pay back the money, everyone devoted all their energy to earn points. During this period, although some people died, the number was very few, only less than 5 people. In a place like the Scattered Stars Island, this mortality rate seemed to be extremely low. And in the 8th Battalion, the richest one should be Han Fei. Han Fei probably had nearly 6 million points, which was not far from his 8 million points. This morning, many people met to go to sea. All of a sudden, the spiritual energy within a radius of dozens of kilometers gathered towards the skeleton shore camp like a tide. Someone made a breakthrough. Something's wrong. Did someone become an advanced hanging fisher? No, isn't the place where the spiritual energy is gathering where Captain Han lives? Let's go and have a look. Yu Lingyun, Wu Xiaoxiao, and the others were already standing in the place where Han Fei lived. At this moment, Wu Xiaoxiao asked expectantly, Sister Lingyun, how strong do you think Captain will be if he makes a breakthrough? Yu Lingyun nodded seriously. No one in the 8th Battalion can stop him. Leng Hui nodded. Very strong. The surrounding spiritual energy is sweeping over. This doesn't look like the momentum of a breakthrough. Gu Daliang held his armor box. Captain's physique is really desirable. But what they didn't know was that Han Fei had to pretend for this breakthrough. Every time he made a breakthrough, he needed a huge amount of spiritual energy. He needed to attract the surrounding spiritual energy through a spirit-gathering array to cover up the spiritual energy that was constantly pouring out of Forge the Universe. After half an hour, the spiritual energy was still there. Han Fei had consumed nearly 5 million points of spiritual energy, and the barrier of the breakthrough was right in front of him. Han Fei lost a lot of weight, so he had to swallow 2 mouthfuls of candle dragon blood to stabilize the process of the breakthrough. Crack. With a crisp cracking sound, the surrounding spiritual energy vibrated, and Han Fei's body seemed to have become a dry river. 3 high-quality spiritual stones were broken in a row before he could barely support the supply of spiritual energy. Han Fei was different from others. Perhaps because the void fishing art that he practiced was of a high level, he consumed a lot of spiritual energy when he made a breakthrough. Besides, making a breakthrough with the void fishing art was not as simple as just making a breakthrough. This cultivation technique seemed to want to completely stabilize the realm of the cultivator after the breakthrough, and finish it all in one go. As a result, not only could Han Fei not stop devouring spiritual energy, but he also had to continue to supply it. Many people in the outside world cried out in surprise. Didn't Captain Han make a breakthrough? Why hasn't the vortex of spiritual energy stopped? Someone guessed, it must be a high-level cultivation technique. After the breakthrough, you still have to stabilize your body. Yu Lingyun roared, nobody is allowed to peek or affect the captain's breakthrough. Yu Lingyun informed everybody telepathically. After all, making a sound was very likely to affect Han Fei. But Yu Lingyun didn't know that he could hear Yu Lingyun's voice at this moment. Hiss. I can eavesdrop on others. This was the first thought in Han Fei's mind. Before he was surprised, Han Fei suddenly found that his supply of spiritual energy was slowly weakening. Immediately, he focused on introspection and then was shocked to find that the originally extremely smooth spiritual energy began to become viscous. After about 10 minutes, Han Fei let out a sigh of relief. It turned out that it wasn't that the spiritual energy became viscous, but that the spiritual energy had turned into spiritual liquid in his body. Han Fei couldn't help but think of what Xiao Zhan and Wenrenyu said. Dangling fissures were only low-level cultivators, and hanging fissures were the beginning of cultivation. Could it be that this breakthrough started from the transformation of spiritual energy into spiritual liquid? This state of spiritual energy liquefaction lasted about half an hour. For this breakthrough, Han Fei consumed about 8 million points of spiritual energy in total. When everything calmed down, Han Fei immediately looked at his data. How can I be level 42? When Han Fei saw the number 42, he was stunned. It shouldn't be. According to his past experience, he should be level 43 at this moment, reaching the peak of a junior hanging fisher. But obviously, the current situation didn't seem right. Yes, he was a junior hanging fisher, but he was much weaker than level 42. Besides, the upper limit of his spiritual energy had become 9,001 points, an increase of 1,002 points. But Han Fei still felt that something was wrong. Logically speaking, after his breakthrough, his spiritual energy should have increased a lot. But now this data didn't make Han Fei feel that it had increased a lot. And when he compared his realm and level, Han Fei's heart sank. The advantage of rapid breakthroughs in void fishing was probably gone. The so-called level 42 was probably just level 42 after he stabilized himself at level 41. However, Han Fei didn't panic. After all, this was how Xia Shaochan and the others grew up. In a single small realm, the growth speed should be relatively fast. He would know this after trying it in the future. In Han Fei's opinion, his spiritual power had increased greatly. Not only did he break a barrier, but he also seemed to have grown a little more than he imagined. In this way, he could continue to absorb soul crystals or the god-scaring painting. This was good news. When facing the half-mermaid, Han Fei found that the other party's perception range was larger than his. It could be said that under the attack of such a strong master, whoever had a larger perception range would have the upper hand. This was indisputable. Therefore, Han Fei knew that he had to include soul crystals in his purchase plan. This gave Han Fei a headache. He hadn't bought the million poison fruit yet, and now he needed soul crystals. This would cost more than 10 million points of credit. In this month, he had already used up all the Spirit Awakening fluid. Except for the 200 caddies of Spirit Awakening fluid that he used. Little Gold upgraded by 3 levels and reached level 38. Nine Tails upgraded by 1 level and reached level 38. Little Black and Little White upgraded by 2 levels and reached level 38. Little Fatty was fed 200 caddies of Spirit Awakening fluid, but its level didn't change. It was still level 38. Just these few guys had consumed about 2,800 caddies of Spirit Awakening fluid. Han Fei couldn't help but sigh. It turned out that the Scattered Stars Island was the most expensive place. Of course, after spending a huge amount of money and countless costs, the benefits Han Fei got were also extremely obvious. They were all real combat power. At least, as far as Han Fei was concerned, he couldn't defeat all the hanging fishers, but most ordinary people should be no match for him. As for those geniuses, they would be suppressed by him sooner or later. However, Han Fei had only been on the Scattered Stars Island for more than 2 months. Time was still short, so he wasn't in a hurry. When would he be able to push Little Black and Little White to level 40 and get some unknown inheritances? Then his strength would reach the level of an advanced hanging fisher. If he could also get a divine weapon, then he would really have a foothold on the Scattered Stars Island. As for now, he still stayed on the island and couldn't even enter the sea. Because if he went in, he might not be able to come out. In the treehouse, Han Fei was eavesdropping on other people's voice transmissions. Someone said, "Hey, what's the background of this Han Fei? Isn't his growth too fast? From an advanced dangling fisher to a hanging fisher in 2 months, it's amazing." Someone responded, "Don't forget, he is a body cultivator. That's what's really scary about him." Someone said to her via voice transmission, "Xian, what do you think if I find a time to drug Han Fei and knock him out?" "Why? If I drug him and then sleep with him, won't he become my man?" Puff. Cough, cough, in the treehouse, Han Fei choked on his own words. What the hell are these people doing? It's too dangerous. Boys nowadays have to protect themselves at all times. Since he had spoken, Han Fei naturally came out. Han Fei said with a smile, I had an epiphany this morning and made a breakthrough by luck, congratulations, Captain Han. You have become a hanging fisher. Han Fei, your breakthrough speed is too fast. Captain Han, I've observed you. Your temperament has changed. Han Fei said with a smile, it's useless no matter how nice you say it. I know many of you have almost paid off your debts. Is there anyone else who wants to refine ultra-quality spiritual weapons? I'm free now. The price is as before. Immediately, many people fell silent and thought to themselves, this guy is tempting us again. Many people hadn't paid off their debts yet. They said with a wry smile, Captain Han, let us accumulate more. The materials, spiritual spring, and credit points we have accumulated are still far from enough. Han Fei smiled. Don't worry. By the way, I will go to the refining hall in a few days. If anything happens on the skeleton shore, remember to find me in the refining hall. Wu Xiaoxiao said, Captain, you haven't taken us out to sea for a long time. Han Fei was taken aback. Ah. Really? It's hard to be a captain. I'm busy with chores. When I come back, I will take you to sweep the skeleton shore. But now, if you have something to do, take Chao Chiu with you. He will take my place first. Asking for votes, end of this chapter. Chapter 651. In the refining hall. Han Fei was bargaining with a shopping guide. Look, I'm a 3-star refiner. It's not too much for me to rent a refining room and a booth, right? The shopping guide was amused. But, Mr. Refiner, do you have to hang this cloth? If you hang this cloth, other refiners will definitely have a problem with it. Han Fei pulled the cloth in his hand. Let's compete fairly. Is there a problem with my cloth? The shopping guide was speechless. You call it no problem? Look at what you wrote. What is it called? One Stop Refining and Spirit Sealing, with a 30% discount every day. If you hang this up, how can other people do business? Suddenly, Han Fei stealthily said, what do you think about this? How much can you make in a day? 100 high-quality pearls. 200. I'll charge you 500, okay? Now I'll pay you 1,000 a day, to hire you. How about that? The shopping guide opened his mouth. How much? Han Fei grinned. 1,000 high-quality pearls a day. You heard me right. As long as you hang this cloth on the door for me, no one is allowed to take it off. Han Fei was persuading him patiently. How much was 1,000 high-quality pearls? A lot of people wanted to earn this salary. He was not short of money now, but credit points. Besides, an ultra-quality spiritual weapon was worth more than 10,000 mid-quality pearls. Sealing a spirit would cost at least 20,000. If the level of sealing a spirit was slightly higher, it would be 34,000 or 40,000. He didn't need this money at all. Han Fei said with a smile, how about it? Do you want to consider it? The shopping guide immediately took a breath. Okay. Then I'll guard your door. Han Fei immediately grinned. Okay, for every customer you help me attract, I'll give you 100 high-quality pearls as a commission. If you can attract 100, I'll give you 10,000 high-quality pearls as a commission, and your salary will be calculated separately. The shopping guide immediately took another breath, grabbed the cloth in Han Fei's hand, and said solemnly, as long as the customer is here, the cloth will be here. Han Fei grinned. Good, then I'll wait for someone in the refining room. Han Fei went into the refining room, cleaned up the refining table with a smile, filled the vat with spiritual spring, and looked at the walls. They seemed to be a little empty. Immediately, he hung his battle suit, long saber, brick, water-dividing seal, blue sea wandering dragon dagger, blue sea wandering dragon rod, blood-drinking saber, and so on. They were all supreme-grade spirit artifacts with sealed spirits, so their grades should not be low. After cleaning up, Han Fei sat down in the room and closed his eyes to rest, quietly waiting for the first customer to come in. Han Fei was in the room and had no idea what was going on outside. After all, this place was shielded from perception. At this moment, outside the crafting room. In less than a quarter of an hour, a circle of people had gathered outside. At this moment, the shop assistant was already surrounded. Someone asked, how many stars is the refiner inside? You're so awesome, and you're even offering a 30% discount? Someone squeezed through the doorway. Is the one inside really that cheap? Someone shouted, line up, line up. The shop assistant was also a little confused. Although she knew that there would be a lot of people coming once the sign was hung up, she still didn't know what to do. Wasn't it a bit too enthusiastic? Were people so rich nowadays? Immediately, the shop assistant said, wait a minute. I'll go in and ask. Seeing the seal move, Han Fei grinned and said, welcome, welcome. What do you want? Ha! Why are you here? Is there no one here? It shouldn't be. Is it because you hung the banner in the wrong way? No, let me do it myself. No, no, the shop assistant said with a bitter smile, well, Master Han Fei, there are too many people outside. How are you going to choose? You can't let all of them in at once, can you? Han Fei was taken aback and then said excitedly, really? Are there many people? Then call them all in. What's the matter with letting the guests stand outside? Huh? The shop assistant was stunned. All of them in. Can you refine all of them? Han Fei immediately said, I can collect the money in advance. Why can't I refine all of them? Immediately, Han Fei hurriedly urged, call them in first. The shop assistant was speechless and thought to himself, even refiners don't refine in this way. A 3-star refiner, even if he is a spiritual energy refiner, can refine at most 10 weapons a day. How confident is this person to dare to call all of them in? So, after a while, a group of people filed in. Outside, more than 20 people rushed in, and some people were still squeezing in. Han Fei immediately said with a smile, "Welcome, everyone, welcome." Someone was surprised. Such a young 3-star refiner. Wow! This. Little brother, are you a 3-star refiner? Han Fei smiled and pointed to the 3-star refiner certificate hanging on his waist. I'm the real deal. If you can't refine it, it's free. If you can't refine it, it's free. If you can't seal a spirit, it's free. Everyone, what do you want to refine? Immediately, someone shouted, "Don't push. I came here first. Line up, line up." Immediately, someone pushed forward. What do you mean you came here first? I came in with you. Someone said, I'm the third to come in. I'm the fourth, I'm the fifth. Those who came to the refining hall basically knew that a refiner's energy was limited. Han Fei's offer of a 30% discount was simply too fucking attractive. But Han Fei raised his hand and said, "Everyone, don't worry, don't worry. Here's how I do it. You can ask me to refine a weapon, and you can usually get it on the same day. But everyone, refining here is very simple. I only accept points, not high-quality pearls. Also, you have to bring your own creatures that need to be sealed. When everything is ready, you can line up outside. It only takes half an hour, and you can take an ultra-quality spiritual weapon home." What? Half an hour? Wow! How can it be so fast? No, this. Master, are you sure? Master, why don't you refine one for us to see? Han Fei bragged too much. Half an hour? Do you think you can refine a low-quality spiritual weapon? Han Fei grinned. He was already ready, so he immediately said, "Come on, who wants to try first? I can demonstrate it to you on the spot." Me. 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 Han Fei directly grabbed a soul warrior. "Come on, it's you. Will you provide the materials yourself, or shall I provide them?" With that, Han Fei waved his hand, and a large pile of materials piled up like a hill, all of which were ultra-quality materials. Immediately, someone took a breath. He's really rich. Although there was no shortage of ultra-quality materials on the scattered stars island. However, he took out so many at once. Was he really a human being? Han Fei felt very comfortable. Before, when he refined weapons for the people of the 8th Battalion, most of them gave him 2 sets of materials. But he didn't need 2 sets of materials to refine weapons himself. So he just refined 1 set and kept the other. He kept them and kept them. In the end, he had nearly 300 sets. Han Fei looked at the soul warrior with a smile. "So, will you use my materials or your materials?" The soul warrior froze for a moment. "What's the difference?" Han Fei chuckled. "If you use my materials, I'll also give you a 30% discount on the material cost. You need to give me 3 sets of materials, right? I don't need it. I'll give you 2 sets of materials and give you a 30% discount. After I use up this batch of materials, I won't get this discount." Wow! Immediately, someone's eyes turned red. "Hey, if you don't want it, I'll take it." Someone squeezed forward. "I have points, I have points. Master, I'll refine 2 at a time. Master, I'll refine 3 at a time. Master, I'll give you points first." Han Fei was very excited, but he had to pretend to be calm on the surface. But Han Fei stopped him. Everyone has a share. I still have a lot of materials, and you all have this discount. So, big brother, are you going to use my material or your own?" The man immediately said, "Of course, I'll use yours." Han Fei immediately grinned. Okay, do you want to go next door and buy a creature that can seal souls? Later, I'll seal it. The man was taken aback and then hurriedly said, wait a moment. I'll be right there. Very soon. After saying that, the man rushed out with a whoosh. This man said it was fast, and it only took him less than 5 minutes to carry back a giant feathered horseshoe scorpion, a level 43 big scorpion. Han Fei immediately beamed with joy. This price was not low. Even if there was a 30% discount, it would still cost 40,000 points. What a profit! Ahem. Everyone, please step back. Hearing this, everyone stepped back, and Han Fei asked, what are you going to refine? The man immediately said, a spear. I'm going to refine a long spear, a little taller and heavier than me. Han Fei immediately smiled and said, okay. Han Fei immediately waved his hand, and 8 kinds of materials were grabbed from the pile of materials by him, and spiritual energy instantly enveloped these materials. In everyone's stunned gaze, the materials were melting rapidly, and the spiritual energy was faintly burning. Immediately afterward, in less than 5 minutes, everyone saw a large amount of impurities dripping from the air. In a moment, the materials in the turbulent spiritual energy mass emitted a faint luster. 5 minutes passed in a flash. All the materials had entered the fusion stage. Although everyone was surprised by Han Fei's fast refining speed, no one dared to make a sound and all widened their eyes. In another 5 minutes, the long spear was condensed, and the body of the spear looked quite thick. There were layers of whorls on it, and there were vivid fish and insect carvings. The tip of the spear was sharp, and there was a trace of dark red at the tip. When the spiritual energy dissipated, the long spear was completed. The tip of the spear was dazzling, and the luster was as clear as a mirror, extremely sharp. Han Fei grabbed the spear with one hand and poured spiritual energy into it. The luster of an ultra-quality spiritual weapon immediately illuminated the entire refining room. Wow! That's it. Isn't this too fast? So fast. It's the first time I've seen someone refining so fast. Someone immediately said, Master, may I know your name? Han Fei grinned. You flatter me. I am Han Fei, one of the 3 genius refiners of the Scattered Stars Island, together with Mu Jia, and Guan Qingyan. Someone once said that the 3 of us are the 3 rising stars in the refining world of the Scattered Stars Island. Once, I was the brightest one among them. Ahem. The group of people was dumbfounded. Is this a compliment? Someone said to Han Fei via voice transmission, although he is a bit shameless, his refining speed is indeed fast. Someone responded, he's a genius. It's normal to be a little conceited. Hello, Master Han. Genius Han, is it my turn next? Brother Han, are you going to show me the spirit sealing technique next? Han Fei sighed. Everyone, I may not be able to show you the spirit sealing technique. This is a secret of the Han family, and it can't be seen by outsiders. Everyone, please wait for me outside for a moment. I'll be ready soon. Second. Asking for votes, end of this chapter. Chapter 652. Han Fei had achieved his goal. The refining hall had always been short of refiners, let alone one as fast as Han Fei. A supreme-grade spirit weapon could be refined in minutes. Who would be able to hold themselves back? The level of the Scattered Stars Island was much higher than that of the level 3 fishery. However, supreme-grade spiritual weapons were still mainstream, and there were also methods to seal spirits in them. Weapons were much stronger than superior-quality spiritual weapons. As for the level 3 fishery, how many people had ultra-quality spiritual weapons? Over there, mid- and low-grade spiritual weapons were the mainstream, and they were even unsealed. Because the refiners who were capable of sealing souls were not in the level 3 fishery at all. They were either on the Scattered Stars Island or in the Thousand Star City. Only these 2 places could make money. Han Fei didn't dare to show off too much, and it took him 5 minutes to walk out of the door. Han Fei was holding a spear in his hand. Come on, it's sealed. Feel it. Han Fei threw the spear in his hand to the soul warrior. The latter excitedly injected spiritual energy, and immediately, a dazzling light appeared on the tip of the spear. It was the stinger of the giant feathered horseshoe crab. In the eyes of the crowd, not only the stinger, but even the spear radiance also emitted several stingers. That was the effect of the other stingers on the giant feathered horseshoe crab's tail. The body of the spear shone brilliantly, dazzling and moving. Hiss! It's done. So fast, spirit sealing can actually be this fast. The soul warrior grinned from ear to ear. However, before he could pay, a group of people had already rushed over. Grandmaster Han, it's my turn. I have enough points. Grandmaster Han, I was the first to arrive. Don't fight, I'm being squeezed. The passers-by all turned to look at them. Someone couldn't help but ask, who is this? One-stop shop for weapon forging and spirit sealing, a special 30% discount every day. What a crazy sign. The person who was pulled said warily, don't even think about cutting the queue. This spot is mine. Han Fei said, please line up in order. One by one. But, please move aside, let me collect the money first. When he got 40,000 points, Han Fei smiled. In the field of refining, it was indeed profitable, earning money from one's grandma's house. Han Fei couldn't help but sigh. How could there be such a profitable thing in the world? It was as if it had fallen from the sky. Half a day later, the refining hall in the west side of the Scattered Stars Island was already overcrowded. In front of refining room number 18, it was already too crowded. Outside the refining hall, someone passed by and couldn't help but ask, hey, brother, what's wrong with the refining hall today? Why are there so many people? Someone replied, it said that a master of refining has come. He's a one-stop shop for refining and sealing weapons. He's offering a 30% discount every day. This person's forging speed is extremely fast, and his forging quality is also good. He can get the weapon on the spot. Hiss. Really? Why would I lie to you? It's full. Mu Jia, and Guan Qingyan just got the news. Guan Qingyan was immersed in designing weapons. He was wondering if engraving arrays on weapons could refine semi-divine weapons. He did not have high hopes for a divine weapon. To forge a divine weapon, first of all, one needed good materials. Secondly, the technique was a problem. Then, it was time to seal the spirit. The level of the living creature had to be high. If he wanted to blaze a new trail, he would have to take an unusual path. Many great refiners had begun to study forging and tempering methods. They had tempered the materials to the extreme, but they still hadn't refined a divine weapon. Guan Qingyan was tempted by this and he was determined to study arrays. Suddenly, Mu Jia, rushed over shouting, Guan Qingyan, little Guan Guan. Something bad has happened. Guan Qingyan didn't even raise his head and responded indifferently, don't disturb me. Mu Jia, didn't care. She directly grabbed Guan Qingyan's clothes. Let's go. I heard that there is a refining madman in the refining hall. His success rate is 100%, and he has never failed, even in spirit sealing. Guan Qingyan raised his head suspiciously, 100%? Mu Jia nodded. Yes, yes. It must be a 5-star refiner who is refining weapons. It seems to be refining on the spot. Let's go and have a look. Guan Qingyan's expression changed. 5-star refiner. Let's go. When the two hurried to the refining hall, they were dumbfounded. There was already a long line outside the refining hall, and hundreds of people were waiting outside. Mu Jia, was dumbfounded. Are these people sick? Even if he is a 5-star refiner, how can he be so fast? With so many people waiting, when will he finish refining? Guan Qingyan nodded solemnly. He is undoubtedly a master. The two were about to go in, when a staff member came out of the refining hall. Everyone, our refining hall has communicated with Master Han. Master Han will only refine 300 weapons this time. Therefore, those whose number is less than 300 can go back first. You can come back next time when Master Han opens his altars again. Master Han. Mu Jia, and Guan Qingyan glanced at each other and said at the same time, Han Fei? Mu Jia, said hesitantly, impossible. How long has it been since that guy got the 3-star refiner certificate? Guan Qingyan's expression changed slightly. Why not? You and I have seen Brother Han refining weapons. His speed is so fast that few people can match him. Mu Jia, said unhappily, I'll go in and have a look. Why is he giving me a 30% discount? Mu Jia, and Guan Qingyan were both 3-star refiners and refining geniuses, so they didn't have to wait in line to enter the refining hall. However, when the two entered, they saw a long line all the way to the door of a creature grocery store. The dozens of people in the front, each with a creature tied up, were waiting quietly. When Mu Jia, and Guan Qingyan appeared, someone immediately exclaimed, It's Mu Jia, and Guan Qingyan, who are called the 3 genius refiners together with Master Han. Mu Jia, was taken aback and said to the man, Who is called the 3 genius refiners together with us? The man grinned. Of course it's Master Han. By the way, Miss Mu, can you give me a 30% discount? If you give me a 30% discount, I'll go to your place right now. Mu Jia, bared her teeth. I won't. Mu Jia, ran to the door excitedly and was about to rush in. The shop assistant was about to stop her, but a hand had already held Mu Jia, down. Guan Qingyan said lightly, reckless. Then Guan Qingyan said to the shop assistant, Please go in and tell Brother Han that we are here. The shop assistant sucked in a deep breath. These 2 genius blacksmiths were here. Could it be that they were here to cause trouble? Okay, please wait a moment. Indoors. Han Fei was eating dried fish. Sealing souls was an extremely fast thing for him. During this period, he could take a break and eat some snacks. Seeing the shop assistant come in, Han Fei immediately stuffed the dried fish into his mouth. Why are you here? The shop assistant was also taken aback. Isn't he sealing souls? However, she didn't ask much and just said respectfully, Master Han, Miss Jia, and Master Guan are here. Han Fei was taken aback. Who? Mu Jia, and Guan Qingyan? Yes, let them in. Han Fei was speechless. It's not easy for me to make money and you're here to steal my business. Han Fei immediately said, Come in, let them in. Han Fei thought for a moment. I have to trick them, but how can I trick them to earn points for me? Mu Jia, and Guan Qingyan had already walked in. Mu Jia, exclaimed and pointed at Han Fei. You. How can you keep refining? Han Fei shrugged. I'm refining. What does it have to do with you? You can also give me a 30% discount. Guan Qingyan asked curiously, Brother Han, do you have enough spiritual power? Han Fei frowned. Are they asking about this? Han Fei immediately smiled. Oh. In fact, it's not enough. Don't you see that I'm resting now? With that said, Han Fei took out dried fish and handed it to the 2 of them. Would you like 2 pieces? Mu Jia, took the dried fish and stuffed it directly into her mouth. Can dried fish increase spiritual power? It's quite delicious. Guan Qingyan took the dried fish suspiciously and chewed it. This is just ordinary dried fish. Han Fei smiled. Of course it's ordinary dried fish. Of course, I rely on eating spiritual fruits to supplement my spiritual power. As he talked, Han Fei took out a spiritual fruit and bit it like a real fruit. Then, he swallowed the spiritual fruit in 2 or 3 mouthfuls, and the room was immediately filled with fragrance. Guan Qingyan breathed a sigh of relief. I see. Mu Jia put her hands on her hips. When did you become one of the 3 refining geniuses with us? Han Fei said, did I? It's all because the customers are too enthusiastic. It's just an empty reputation. Mu Jia scoffed. Then how can others do business if you give them a 30% discount? Han Fei said seriously, well, I have to seriously criticize you. Do we refine to make money? No. We spend the least amount of money so that more people can get the weapons they want. Why do I work hard to reduce costs? I do it for the scattered stars island, for the soldiers who are always struggling on the line of life and death. Don't you think refiners make enough money? An ultra-quality spiritual weapon, plus materials and spirit sealing, costs at least 60,000 points. How can an ordinary person afford it? Mu Jia pouted and said, how can it be 60,000? It's about 40,000. Han Fei grinned. That's the materials they provide themselves. Look at me, I provide the materials myself and help them save a lot of money. So, girl, only by thinking about the world can you achieve great things. How could Mu Jia win against Han Fei? Dumbfounded by Han Fei's words, she stammered, it's not too late for you to have an epiphany. Why don't you help me refine weapons? It's a good deed. Everyone will remember you well. Come on, I have more than 200 sets of materials here. Let's divide them. If you finish early, I can treat you to hot pot. Mu Jia was so confused by Han Fei's words. What is hot pot? Han Fei clicked his tongue. It's the most wonderful food in the world. Then Han Fei looked at Guan Qingyan. Brother Guan, do you want to do a good deed? Guan Qingyan twitched his mouth. Only a silly girl like Mu Jia could be fooled by Han Fei. He had long seen that Han Fei was just making money. But Guan Qingyan also wanted to see how Han Fei refined weapons, so he said, then I'll learn from Brother Han. Han Fei nodded. You're welcome. Just take it as an experience. Third update. Asking for votes. Add 7,400 votes, put it at around 7 o'clock. Now the monthly votes of the bookstore are separated from the Qidian and have their own list, but I'll count them according to the highest monthly votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 653. At the door of refining room number 18. Han Fei handed out the weapon with a smile and then said to the crowd, everyone, now 3 people can come in at a time. I just sincerely invited the other 2 genius refiners of the Scattered Stars Island to join my team. It can greatly speed up the refining process and won't keep you waiting for long. Wow! Really? Someone was at a loss. What's going on? Miss Jia and Guan Qingyan are not here to make trouble. Why did they join hands? Who cares? Anyway, I just want a 30% discount. It doesn't matter who refines it. It doesn't matter who seals it. Han Fei entered the room with a smile. He didn't really need these 2 people's help. However, Han Fei could probably guess the purpose of Guan Qingyan's visit. They wanted to observe him refining, but it should be true that they wanted to see him seal spirits. If he wanted to become a genius, he couldn't keep the method of sealing spirits forever. However, he couldn't let them see it completely. After all, he had said it was a secret. So Han Fei set up a mystery and said to the 2 of them with a smile, well, it's not that I don't want to, but I can't teach the method of sealing spirits to others. However, I can let you listen to it. Mu Jia pouted. Humph, I don't want to listen to it. Guan Qingyan nodded. Okay. When refining, before Guan Qingyan and Mu Jia finished the first step of the spirit fusing technique, a long sword had already condensed in Han Fei's hand. Guan Qingyan and Mu Jia's eyelids twitched for a long time. The 2 of them were speechless. How strong is this guy's control of spiritual energy? Han Fei smiled. He had already discovered it when he was refining just now. Although Mu Jia, usually looked a little silly, she was very focused when it came to refining. But Guan Qingyan had been observing him with his perception. In other words, Guan Qingyan could multitask. This was not a simple thing, which showed that Guan Qingyan's refining level was definitely higher than 3-star level. Han Fei dragged a big crab, hid in the mist array, and set up a concealment array for himself. Then, get in, you think you're so tough. I'll beat you to death, do you believe me? If you go in, you'll gain eternal life. If you don't, you'll die. Brother Crab, I'm so jealous of you. Do you know that you're going to gain eternal life? Only 5 or 6 breaths later. Han Fei walked out of the mist array with a smile. This time, the spirit sealing had been completed. He glanced at Mu Jia and Guan Qingyan. Mu Jia's forehead was covered in sweat. She had probably been shocked by him and didn't dare to be distracted. Therefore, it was very uncomfortable to hold it in at this moment. He was so anxious that his forehead was covered in sweat. As for Guan Qingyan, he was speechless. Damn it! Is it really that simple? Most importantly, wasn't it too simple? However, Guan Qingyan did gain something. Just now, he clearly saw Han Fei's refining technique. He was indeed unparalleled. His control of spiritual energy was just right. Just this point alone made it worth it for him to work for free. Being able to observe a few more times would indeed be helpful to him. In the outside world, the Scattered Stars prison. Zhang Ting asked, what? That kid went to the refining hall to refine weapons without taking a rest. A woman whose whole face was hidden under a hat said, yes, and someone advertised them as the 3 genius refiners of the Scattered Stars Island. Mu Jia and Guan Qingyan refined weapons with him. Zhang Teng was speechless. He is from the Scattered Stars 4th unit, I know. But didn't he just enter the Scattered Stars 4th unit? Why is he so talented? The woman said, his refining speed is faster than Guan Qingyan and Mu Jia, and the quality is not bad at all. Zhang Teng licked the corner of his mouth and said, no wonder the Scattered Stars 7th unit asked me to find out Han Fei's background. With this kind of talent, it's possible for him to enter the Scattered Stars 1st unit. Naturally, we have to be extremely cautious, we can't be careless. Zhang Teng waved his hand and said, keep watching. 30% discount, only accepting points. This guy wants to make money and buy something, right? Keep an eye on him and see what he exchanged for in the logistics division. Yes. One day later. Mu Jia went on strike and muttered, how can you refine weapons like this? Refining 16 ultra-quality spiritual weapons a day and sealing spirits. Han Fei, you deliberately let us refine weapons for you. While refining, Han Fei replied, you can't say that. As the saying goes, practice makes perfect. Have you ever noticed that when your spiritual energy is exhausted, new spiritual energy will be generated? You are squeezing yourself. I am helping you grow faster. Mu Jia kept stuffing dried fish into her mouth. I quit. I can't refine anymore. I'll watch you refine. Han Fei thought of something and threw some potato chips to Mu Jia. Take your time and continue when you are finished. You are going to refine a divine weapon in the future. How can you give up halfway? Refining a divine weapon takes time and effort. If the divine weapon collapses because you can't hold on, it will be too late for you to cry. While refining, Guan Qingyan asked Han Fei, Brother Han, how did you improve your control of spiritual energy? Of course, Han Fei had already thought of an answer. He immediately said, I am a spirit gatherer. I am naturally sensitive to spiritual energy. I can clearly feel every bit of spiritual energy's dynamics and will. As long as you guide it well, you can do it too. Guan Qingyan frowned. Do spirit gatherers have this talent? I also know a few refiners who are spirit gatherers, but they are not as fast as you. And they may not even be as fast as me. Why is that? Han Fei grinned. Do they know how to set up arrays? Guan Qingyan nodded. No. Han Fei smiled. That's right. They don't know how to set up arrays, so they can't refine them fast. The ingenuity of arrays itself requires a very high control of spiritual energy. There are thousands of large arrays and countless array diagrams, all of which are drawn with spiritual energy. There can't be a single mistake. So, it's natural that I can control spiritual energy well. Suddenly, Guan Qingyan's heart skipped a beat and the mass of materials in his hand collapsed. Fortunately, he quickly came back to his senses and took another material. Han Fei was distressed. This is all money. If it is destroyed, it will be tens of thousands of points. Don't get excited. Calm down. Guan Qingyan asked, Brother Han, what do you think about engraving arrays on weapons when refining? Is it possible to break through the limit of ultra-quality spiritual weapons? Han Fei frowned slightly. This was like engraving arrays on the wind god boat. It seemed feasible. Han Fei immediately said, it should be useful. But if it's just a single array, the improvement should not be great. Unless. Guan Qingyan asked, unless what? Unless countless arrays can be superimposed, layer after layer, and with the help of spiritual energy conduction, the arrays can be fully activated. Wow! Are you trying to refine a divine weapon with this method? Guan Qingyan's eyes flickered. Yes. Mu Jia, who was chewing on potato chips, suddenly stopped. Really? But, this method has been tried before, and no one has succeeded. Han Fei also had an idea. It's extremely difficult. How big is the weapon? If you want to superimpose one array after another on a weapon, the effect will definitely not be as good as the effect during refining. But if you engrave arrays at the same time as refining, so that the refined weapon will be in a state of spirit refinement, and then you have to conceive the array to be set up. Even if this step can be thought of in advance, you have to at least engrave arrays at the same time as refining. Han Fei turned his head and looked at Guan Qingyan. Ordinary people don't have this ability. At least you have to multitask, or even multitask, to have a chance. Guan Qingyan's eyes flickered. In other words, it's possible. Han Fei asked, the point is, if you refine it like this, the materials will still be ultra-quality spiritual weapons. Will it become a divine weapon? Guan Qingyan nodded. I don't know. You have to try. As far as I know, at least someone has succeeded. Han Fei was stunned. Who? Mu Jia curled her lips. Oh. Xiao Guan, that's just a rumor. Think about it. You have to multitask to create arrays. And the arrays are connected. Only a genius in the field of arrays can create arrays. The rumor of that person is like a story. No one has ever seen it. Guan Qingyan exhaled, completed the last step of spirit refinement, and slowly said, not necessarily. Others believe this is just a rumor, but we are refiners. All this makes sense in theory, but it's extremely difficult to do. I've already set foot in the field of arrays. However, after watching Brother Han refining these 2 days, I think this is very possible. Han Fei was dumbfounded. Wait, what rumor? Is there really someone who refined a divine weapon in this way? Guan Qingyan said lightly, speaking of which, that person is from the same family as Brother Han. Han Fei? Mu Jia, scoffed. What do you mean? Although we all believe in Brother Han, Martial Han used to be a real top heavenly talent. Elegant, indifferent, powerful, domineering. Han Fei threw a small dried fish at Mu Jia's head. Don't be infatuated. Who is it? Mu Jia was so angry that she also threw a handful of dried fish at Han Fei. Humph, of course it's the former Supreme Commander of the Scattered Stars Island, Martial Han Guanshu. Han Fei said in surprise, this person is the Supreme Commander. Then why is he refining weapons? Guan Qingyan smiled faintly. Martial Han's history is in the past. However, if you search carefully, you can still find relevant information about him. He was once the supreme commander of the Scattered Stars Island and the only 6-star refiner in the history of the Scattered Stars Island. Wow! Han Fei asked, so powerful. Where is he now? Has he gone to the 1,000-star city? No, if he can refine divine weapons, then the method of refining divine weapons should have been leaked long ago. Mu Jia said in frustration, what can we do? Marshal Han is dead. Dead? Han Fei was dumbfounded. If he can be the supreme commander, he must be terrifyingly strong. How could he be dead? Mu Jia nodded. Yes, he's dead. More than 30 years ago, it was said that Marshal Han betrayed the clan, and then he seemed to have been killed. Bam! The spiritual energy wrapped in the materials in front of Han Fei exploded. Seeing Guan Qingyan's astonishment, Han Fei quickly said, cough, cough. I'm surprised. Such a powerful figure actually betrayed the clan. It's even better than 7,400 words. It's over today. Some people say that there will be explosive updates during the new year. Let's put it this way. Today is the 10th, but I've already updated 160,000 words. In the past, the average monthly update was 300,000 words. I can't save any manuscripts at all. If I save it, it will explode. If I save it, it will explode. But I don't have a single point for the new year. After all, we also have to celebrate the new year, but we'll see. If there are no explosive updates, I can also show off live. End of this chapter. Chapter 654. Mu Jia pointed at Han Fei and shouted, you failed. You failed too. Han Fei rolled his eyes. Everyone fails. What's wrong with me failing? In fact, Han Fei's heart was in turmoil. If Mu Jia hadn't said more than 30 years ago, Han Fei wouldn't have suspected it at all. After all, the Supreme Commander was at such a high level. How could it have anything to do with him? For example, Shueishenqi, the current Supreme Commander of the Scattered Stars Island, had been deified. The Supreme Commander also represented invincibility. Han Fei knew that his strength couldn't be lower than that of a law enforcer. However, it was more than 30 years ago. Han Fei had heard this many times 30 years ago. The Thug Academy declined more than 30 years ago. Han Fei was stimulated by the word descendant again. However, when he thought about it carefully, something seemed wrong. More than 30 years ago, the other party had betrayed the clan, which should have nothing to do with him. After all, he was only 12 years old when he transmigrated. According to Mu Jia, at that time, Han Guanshu should have been killed. Even if he wasn't killed but escaped, it was unlikely that the once arrogant Supreme Commander of the Scattered Stars Island found a random woman, got married, and had children, right? This was like a wealthy tycoon suddenly finding a wife in the countryside. The chances of this happening were extremely small. Besides, Han Fei guessed that Han Guanshu probably had a relationship with the Thug Academy and the 1,000-star city. If Han Guanshu had something to do with him, no one would have ignored him before. After all, he took the initiative to find old Jiang. Besides, he had a useless bloodline. Guan Qingyan said, it is said that General Han once refined a divine weapon with ultra-quality materials. He is also the only person in the Scattered Stars Island and the 1,000-star city who can refine a divine weapon with ultra-quality materials. Han Fei immediately frowned. No way. Although divine weapons are rare, I often hear about them. For example, there is a divine weapon sky hanging mirror in the level 3 fishery. Then where did these divine weapons come from? Mu Jia rolled her eyes and said, are you stupid? What we're talking about is refining a divine weapon from the materials of a supreme-grade spiritual weapon. It doesn't mean that divine weapons can't be refined. If the materials used were peerless and rare, then it would naturally be possible to refine a divine weapon. However, where can I find such materials? Han Fei raised his eyebrows. There are a lot of ultra-quality materials. There must be such materials. Guan Qingyan nodded. Yes, but they are extremely rare. This was also the reason why divine weapons were rare in the entire Thousand-Star City. If we can use top-grade materials to forge a divine weapon, then that would be a pioneering move. It would be a great merit to mankind. Han Fei shrugged. I don't have that ability anyway. Right now, there are very few formations that I can create with a single stomp. Even if they set it up meticulously, they would only be able to set up 2 or 3 stacking formations. Don't talk about creating your own formation, even copying it would be a little difficult. Guan Qingyan pondered and said, if refining a divine weapon is so easy, someone on the Scattered Stars Island would have done it a long time ago. Someone has to give it a try. No matter how difficult it is, we have to give it a try. Han Fei patted Guan Qingyan's shoulder. Okay, try it. I still have a lot of things to do. Hey, Mu Jiar, don't be lazy. You still don't have the slightest awareness of becoming an expert. Continue refining. 3 days later. Han Fei, Mu Jiar, and Guan Qingyan's hands were trembling. Mu Jiar gasped. No, I can't refine weapons like this anymore. I'll die. Guan Qingyan said lightly, my spiritual power has increased. Mu Jiar said angrily, really? I don't care. I want to eat and sleep. Han Fei took the banner back from the shop assistant, paid the salary, and sat down in the refining room. Come on. Thank you for your hard work. Let me show you the power of the hot pot. After a moment, Mu Jiar jumped up. Yes, this is delicious. What is this made of? What kind of spiritual fruit is this? It has such a magical taste. Han Fei was speechless. Can you sit down first? Mu Jiar dragged Han Fei. Teach me. Han Fei pushed her aside. You can't learn it even if I teach you. Good things are rare. It took me decades to collect these seasonings, but you ate them in one meal. How can I teach you? Mu Jiar widened her eyes regretfully. Are they so precious? The corners of Guan Qingyan's mouth twitched again. He felt that Mu Jiar's IQ should be improved. This spiritual fruit had no spiritual energy at all. How could these things be as precious as Han Fei said? Han Fei must have some unique tricks that he didn't want to reveal. However, Guan Qingyan didn't point it out. On the path of cultivation, one must avoid distraction. If one couldn't even resist the desire for food, how could one achieve great things? However, Guan Qingyan glanced at the hot pot and thought to himself, this thing is really delicious. Let's finish this meal first and then ban it later. After eating and drinking, Han Fei drove the two of them away without hesitation. If he didn't drive them away, he would have to keep them for the night. Only Mu Jiar pitifully poured away the hot pot soup, saying that it was still edible and she had to save it. At that time, Han Fei thought, if she finds out, will she beat me to death? But Han Fei didn't care so much. He quickly looked at his waist tag, which had a total of 14. 2 million points. Han Fei was overjoyed. His only pity was that many people didn't seal creatures above level 40. Many people chose creatures below level 40, which led to a great reduction in their points income. Otherwise, even 20 million points wouldn't be enough to stop him. Han Fei tidied up a little and quickly ran out of the refining hall. On the way, many people saw Han Fei and shouted, Master Han, when will you refine next time? Master Han, don't run. I have money. Master Han, let me see you off. Master Han. In a flash, Han Fei had run away. Because it wasn't a holiday yet, none of them had a holiday. Although Luo Xiaobai's daily office was not far from the refining hall, she knew that Han Fei was busy refining, so she wouldn't disturb him. Only Luo Rinquang called Han Fei every day. All the calls were for Han Fei to help him refine weapons and seal spirits. In a few days, Han Fei planned to seal spirits on all their weapons. At this moment, Han Fei stood at the gate of the logistics division, calling Lu Renquang. Han Fei said, "Quang Quang, are you there? Answer me as soon as possible." In less than 2 minutes, Lu Renquang responded, "Are you done?" Without hesitation, Han Fei immediately asked, "Is the 1,000 poison fruits still there?" On the other end of the waste tag, there was a moment of silence. Han Fei. "Let me tell you, don't be angry. That 1,000 poison fruit was bought by someone else 2 days ago." Puff. Han Fei was dumbfounded and then cursed, "Didn't I tell you to keep an eye on it? Is this how you see it? I've worked so hard for several months and finally got the money, and you tell me that the 1,000 poison fruit is gone?" Lu Renquang said with a guilty conscience, "Well, you know, the thing is obvious. My words don't matter. Besides, the 1,000 poison fruit was bought by an 8-star brigadier general. I can't stop him. Why don't you take a look and see which ones can be used first?" Han Fei was helpless. "What do I need you for? What about the other logistics division? Is there 1,000 poison fruit? I have money." Lu Renquang scoffed. "Do you think the 1,000 poison fruit is cabbage? It has been hanging here for more than 3 months and no one bought it. Who knew that a rich guy suddenly appeared and bought it? I can't do anything about it." Han Fei snorted. "Fine. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Go about your business. I'm going to see if there is anything else." The 1,000 poison fruit, as its name suggested, could cure all poisons, which was quite rare. Although it might not be able to completely block all poisons, according to the records in Han Fei's complete collection of spiritual plants in the infinite ocean, this was one of the best anti-poison fruits. Just having one was already a blessing from the heavens, yet it was gone just like that. At the counter of the logistics division, Han Fei said, "I want a rare exchange catalog." In the logistics division, all the collections would be recorded on the exchange catalog. On the general exchange catalog, there were only some materials, spiritual fruits, spiritual springs, etc. However, there was spirit awakening fluid on it, which seemed to be a benefit for ordinary people on the Scattered Stars Island. There was no threshold for exchanging for spirit awakening fluid. On the advanced exchange catalog, there were mostly some rare things, and ordinary ultra-quality materials couldn't even be listed. On the rare exchange catalog, there were really rare things, such as soul crystals, life fruits, exotic creatures, and extremely rare spiritual fruits, which were generally listed here. Han Fei asked for a rare exchange catalog, stood by the counter, and quickly flipped to the anti-poison fruit category. In an instant, more than 100 anti-poison fruits appeared in front of Han Fei. First update. Asking for votes, end of this chapter. Chapter 655. In the hall of the logistics division, there was a hubbub of voices. Trading points was happening all the time. From the side doors on both sides, there were things being transported inside. In the end, the points that the people earned from fighting and working were all handed over to the logistics division. They also helped the logistics division clear a lot of their inventory. This is a market that has been developing for a long time. The law of the market has emerged, and the market can automatically adjust the economy. At this time, Han Fei was studying the anti-poison fruits one by one. Why was he so obsessed with fighting the poisonous fruit? It was because of Chao Qiu's Poison King and Poison God. Only Chao Qiu could refine thousands of poisons in different ways. Ordinary people couldn't do this. Han Fei was confident that if he was poisoned by the current Poison God, even if he didn't die, he wouldn't be far from it. Therefore, the matter of the anti-poison fruit must be put on the agenda. Any one of these anti-poison fruits was comparable to the venomous tulip. Unfortunately, there was still a large gap between it and the myriad poison fruit. Han Fei muttered to himself. Jade ghost bamboo? No, this thing is used by poison cultivators. Its toxicity is too overbearing. After eating this thing, he wouldn't even be able to kiss her. Sky spider grass. This thing could only resist the poison of sea spiders and sea scorpions. 1,000,000 points. Too expensive, too expensive. Let's take a look again. Poison-repelling fruit. This seems alright. Its effects are better than the venomous tulip and the 1,000 poisons fruit. 4,000,000 points. This was daylight robbery. He took another look. After turning many pages, Han Fei's eyes lit up. Heaven Spirit Detoxifying Insect. Han Fei's eyelids twitched several times when he saw this. He knew that this thing was a living bug. After it was swallowed, it would not move around. Once it was poisoned, it would help its host absorb the poison. However, according to the complete collection of spiritual plants in the Endless Sea realm, this plant seemed to have a tolerance limit. How would it fare against the poison god? Han Fei looked at the price. 8,000,000 points of credit, which made Han Fei's blood freeze. However, although it seemed a little scary to have a bug living in his body. However, the effect of this thing was not bad at all. The difference between the 1,000 poison fruit and the 1,000 poison fruit was that the 1,000 poison fruit could basically cure all poisons, preventing a large portion of poisons from harming the body. However, the Heaven Spirit Detoxifying Insect seemed to be able to detoxify any poison. In the end, the insect itself became more and more poisonous until it died from the poison. In a sense, the Heaven Spirit Detoxifying Insect was even stronger than the 1,000 poison fruit. After all, although the 1,000 poison fruit was said to be able to resist thousands of poisons, it was not truly omnipotent. However, there was a reason why no one bought this insect. It seemed to be an insatiable greed. It was said that it was extremely easy to overeat oneself to death. The second was that it was difficult to grow, and the amount of poison they could swallow was limited. If this insect died, it would still be useless. Han Fei made up his mind and immediately listed this item as one of his options. After reading more than 100 kinds of anti-poison items, he found that the Heaven Spirit Detoxifying Insect was the most cost-effective one. Of course, if he had the ability to buy all of these 100 or so anti-poison items, the effect would probably be even stronger than the 1,000 poison fruit. But the problem was that it was almost impossible. That was worth hundreds of millions of points. Immediately, Han Fei went to the counter. I want to exchange for the Heaven Spirit Detoxifying Insect. The girl behind the counter was stunned. She said in astonishment, You want to exchange for the Heaven Spirit Detoxifying Insect? Yes. Immediately, the girl took a breath. Can you show me your waist tag first? Han Fei immediately handed over his waist tag. When the staff saw Han Fei's 14,600,000 points, she was a little dumbfounded. A junior hanging fisher, 4-star, 14,600,000 points. Where did this guy get so many points? Immediately, the girl said, Please wait a moment. After that, the girl said a few words to the waist token. After that, she gave Han Fei a sweet look. What's your name? What's your position? Han Fei said with a smile, Han Fei. 3rd column, Deputy Captain of the 8th Battalion. The girl's eyes lit up. A junior hanging fisher became the deputy captain of a battalion? The girl asked, How old are you? Han Fei was taken aback. Do I have to provide this too? I am 16 years old this year. The girl exclaimed, Ah. You are 2 years younger than me. Then do you have a girlfriend? Cough, cough, Han Fei blushed. Yes, yes, the girl was quite disappointed and then sighed. Then do you mind having one more? Han Fei. The girl giggled. Don't be scared. I'm just kidding. The Heaven Spirit Detoxifying Insect you want will be delivered to you soon. Do you need anything else? Han Fei heaved a sigh of relief. Girls nowadays are so unrestrained. Who can resist them? Han Fei said, By the way, give me 100 level 1 soul crystals and 10 level 2 soul crystals. And 500 caddies of spirit awakening fluid. The girl couldn't help but be very envious. It's so nice to be a rich big shot. In the blink of an eye, he had spent 6.7 million points. It must be noted that the promotion points for a 6-star slaughterer were only 5 million points. That was to say, if Han Fei had enough combat skills and 5 million points of credit, he could immediately hang a 6-star waist tag on his waist. What an honor it was. Even the promotion points for a 7-star centurion were only 10 million points. Of course, at that point, points were only one of the conditions for promotion. But in the eyes of others, Han Fei was so young and had already obtained so many points. As long as he didn't die, it was not a particularly difficult thing for him to rise in stars. After about half an hour, the Heaven Spirit detoxifying insect, soul crystals, and spirit awakening fluid were all delivered to the counter. As soon as Han Fei put away the things, the girl said, "Do you really not want to consider exchanging contact information with me? I'm only 2 years older than you, but I look like I'm 15. Han Fei was embarrassed and immediately fled. What? You're already 15. Do I look like the kind of person who likes lolas? Seeing Han Fei flee, the receptionist girl giggled for a while. When the laughter stopped, she suddenly became serious, grabbed the waist tag, and said, Han Fei, Deputy Captain of the 8th Battalion of the 3rd Column, Junior Hanging Fisher. Currently holding a 4-star rank, stationed on the Skeleton Shore. This person has just exchanged 6.7 million points for a batch of materials. Pay close attention to him. This person may be a heavenly talent. No one knew who the girl was talking to. It was like a routine report, and then she quietly waited for the next person to exchange for materials. Han Fei naturally didn't know any of this. He felt that he was not high profile in a sense. Although he had shown his talent in refining, he wouldn't offend anyone. Although he killed the red demon, he did it with the help of others. Han Fei hadn't checked out of the number 18 refining room he rented in the refining hall. He just ran out in a hurry and then ran back in a hurry. According to the staff of the refining hall, Han Fei naturally went to the logistics division to exchange for refining materials. Someone even shouted, "Master Han, are you going to start refining again?" Han Fei responded without looking back, "No, I need to do some research. Don't disturb me if there's nothing important." In the refining room, Han Fei took out a jade box first. What was inside was naturally the Heaven Spirit detoxifying insect. After setting up a defensive array, Han Fei opened the box. What appeared in his field of vision was a thumb-sized pure gold beetle. It looked a bit like a pure golden turtle scarab. It looked chubby and didn't know how to run. It just lay in the box foolishly. This guy seemed to be timid. It tilted its head and glanced at Han Fei. Han Fei was immediately amused. It looked a little better than he thought. At least it wasn't a myriapod. Otherwise, he would be scared to death. A string of information emerged in his eyes. Name: Heaven Spirit detoxifying insect. Introduction: an insect that is immune to all poisons. It can swallow all poisons in the world. It grows up by eating poisons and changes because of poisons. However, once it consumed too much poison and exceeded its body's tolerance limit, it would die from overeating. This insect can live in the body of a living creature and must be fed with spiritual energy, poisons, etc., and cannot be fed with other energy. Otherwise, it will die. Level 30 Equality, exotic, upgradable, contains spiritual energy greater than 600 points. Edible effect, inedible collectible, Heaven Spirit liquid. Han Fei immediately took a breath. This insect had a lot of room to grow. It was only level 30. If it fed on poisons, wouldn't he have to eat poisons every day? Originally, he just wanted to protect himself from poisons. But now, he had to eat poisons every day. However, level 30 was too low. It probably couldn't survive more than a few poisons. If it was a poison at the level of the Poison King, as long as the amount was enough, it could definitely kill the Heaven Spirit detoxifying insect in one go. Han Fei was speechless. So, this was the reason why no one bought it, right? For one thing, the price of 3.6 million points of credit was really not cheap, and for another, it had to be fed with poisons every day, which was not something that ordinary people could do. Although the logistics division could also buy poisonous animals, once they raised this little thing, they would have to provide it with food often, and it would be for life. This inevitably led to the fact that the price of buying it might be cheap, but the price of raising it was surprisingly high. Although it didn't have to be sponsored partnerships, it wouldn't be of much use if its level couldn't rise. This was a paradox. Han Fei couldn't help thinking, can I only feed it poison? Will Spirit Awakening Fluid work? Little Black and the others all loved Spirit Awakening Fluid very much. That thing could help them make breakthroughs quickly. Can't the Heaven Spirit Detoxifying Insect work? No, I have to try. Second update. Asking for votes, end of this chapter. Chapter 656. Han Fei didn't immediately let this little insect parasitize him, but took out the Spirit Awakening Fluid. He didn't put much in, just filling this small box to prevent the insect he bought with 3.6 million points of credit from being stuffed to death. As a result, a magical scene appeared. The Heaven Spirit Detoxifying Insect was only the size of a thumb, but a box of Spirit Awakening Fluid was absorbed by it in almost 10 minutes, without any omission. Han Fei was amazed. Spirit Awakening Fluid didn't seem to be energy. He drank 200 kilograms of Spirit Awakening Fluid, but where did it go? In any case, after it entered his body, it became a mysterious thing that strengthened his physique. He didn't even know whether it had dissipated or not. After eating the Spirit Awakening Fluid, the Heaven Spirit Detoxifying Insect glanced at Han Fei again and poked him with its two little claws. Han Fei was speechless. You are not a fly. Why are you rubbing? Do you want to wash your hands? So Han Fei poured another box for it, but in the blink of an eye, it was gone again. He did this repeatedly, and when he poured 100 kilograms, the Heaven Spirit Detoxifying Insect upgraded. Han Fei was surprised by her appetite. Where did she eat all the food? Han Fei was thrilled by this scene. However, he was only excited for a moment when it was upgraded. Because Han Fei was speechless to find that he couldn't afford to raise this thing. 100 kilograms of Spirit Awakening Fluid was 500,000 points of credit. If he wanted to cultivate this thing to level 40, 1,000 kilograms was definitely not enough. Besides, it cost 3.6 million points of credit to buy it, and it was fed with poisonous food. Han Fei suddenly sat on the ground, his eyes dull. Oh no, I lost a lot. I bought a foodie. Spirit Awakening Fluid was very rare, and Han Fei didn't want to continue to waste it. He made a cut on his arm with the blood-drinking knife, then grabbed the Heaven Spirit Detoxifying Insect and pressed it on the wound. Immediately, the insect's body became a little smaller. Then, it drilled directly into the wound, from the arm to the chest. Originally, this insect stayed in the chest and didn't move. But suddenly, for some reason, this guy began to drill down again, all the way to the dantian. Han Fei found that this insect was interested in the seed, but he was speechless. Don't fucking court death. Even I can't move that seed. Don't torment yourself to death. Sure enough, after the Heaven Spirit Detoxifying Insect crawled over, it circled the seed for a long time. It seemed to touch the seed, but it could not touch it at all. It was as if the seed was illusory. Seeing that it was hopeless, the Heaven Spirit Detoxifying Insect laid down beside the seed and remained motionless. Han Fei had a headache, but there was nothing he could do. He had already bought it and fed it. He couldn't send it back, could he? No matter what, as long as the insect was still alive, he should be immune to all poisons. Although the price might be a little high, at least he had a layer of assurance in his heart. After he stopped studying the Heaven Spirit Detoxifying Insect, he took out the soul crystals. This time, his mental power reached 1501 points. Han Fei immediately knew that the God-scaring painting could already be cultivated, and his perception range would continue to increase. After a while, Han Fei suddenly opened his eyes. Huh. The 26th fragment of the God-scaring painting still costs only 50 level 1 soul crystals, but the perception range is still 500 meters. On average, 1 soul crystal still increased his perception range by 10 meters. 100 soul crystals were soon used up, and Han Fei only remembered 27 fragments of the God-scaring painting. There was no special difference between level 1 soul crystals and level 2 soul crystals, except that the color was a little darker. Maybe the quality was better, but Han Fei wasn't sure. When he absorbed them, he didn't feel any difference, but when Han Fei absorbed the third piece, the difference appeared. When the third soul crystal was absorbed, Han Fei had remembered the 28th fragment of the God-scaring painting. Ha! Are level 2 soul crystals better than level 1 soul crystals? In the logistics division, the price of a level 2 soul crystal was 30,000 points, and the price of a level 1 soul crystal was 3,000 points. The difference between the two was 10 times. But in terms of effect, the effect of 3 level 2 soul crystals was equal to the effect of 50 level 1 soul crystals. In terms of cost-effectiveness, it was far better than level 1 soul crystals. Han Fei couldn't help but be a little moved. It seemed that the higher the level of the soul crystal, the better the effect. Soon, after staying in the refining room for less than an hour, Han Fei came out again. This time, Han Fei went to the logistics division again, and it was the same window. Yes, it was the damn window just now. Because the rare exchange record was taken from her, there wouldn't be many people coming to this window. Unless the logistics division was too busy, they would temporarily use this window. When the little girl saw Han Fei, she immediately smiled. Have you thought it through? Are you going to ask me out? Wait for another hour, and then I'll get off work. We can go to the club and have some drinks. Han Fei was immediately embarrassed. Well, can I exchange another 500 kilograms of spirit awakening fluid and 100 level 2 soul crystals? The little girl's pupils immediately shrank. So many. Han Fei smiled. Not for myself. I bought them for my senior brother. Your senior brother? Han Fei nodded repeatedly. Door-carrying Marshal, my senior brother. Han Fei also knew that if he rashly bought too many level 2 soul crystals, he might attract attention. Therefore, he naturally used Wang Dushuai's name as a scapegoat. Anyway, this matter was probably not a secret, and his senior brother would use it at this time. Later, he could go to the Empyrean waterfall and chat with his senior brother for a while. However, the little girl said, the number of level 2 soul crystals is limited. You have already exchanged for 10 today. You can only exchange for 10 more. The upper limit for 4-star ranks is 20. The upper limit for 5-star ranks is 50, and the upper limit for 6-star ranks is 100. Han Fei was stunned. Every day? Of course not, every month. Han Fei immediately gasped. Okay. Then I'll exchange for 10 first. And 20 level 1 soul crystals. I'll let my senior brother exchange for the rest himself. By the way, is there a limit for exchanging spirit awakening fluid? The little girl nodded. Yes, the limit for 4-star and 5-star ranks is 1,000 kilograms per month. You have just exchanged for the upper limit. Of course, if you explain the use and submit an application, I should be able to approve another 1,000 kilograms. Han Fei said with a smile, no, it's enough. I'll feed it to my contractual spiritual beast. Except for the logistics division, Han Fei was speechless. There was a purchase limit. That was not easy. In the refining room, Han Fei had consumed all the soul crystals in his hand. His perception range had increased to 14,499 meters, a full range of 30 kilometers, but Han Fei didn't feel that it had reached the upper limit. However, the purchase limit was too disgusting. With his 4-star rank, he could only exchange for 20 level 2 soul crystals. Then wouldn't he only be able to exchange for 10 3-star ranks? However, on second thought, it seemed that others did not absorb soul crystals as fast as he did. Han Fei immediately said to his waist tag, "Is Kuang Kuang here?" "Yes, you haven't left yet." "Don't ask too much. When you get off work, come to the number 18 refining room of the refining hall to find me." "Okay, do you want to eat hot pot?" "Fuck off, you only know how to eat." "I'm going to cultivate first." "You can work first." Han Fei's so-called cultivation was to pour spirit awakening fluid into his body. He poured about 300 caddies of spirit awakening fluid and his upper limit of spiritual energy was increased to 9,262 points, which was not much. 300 caddies of spirit awakening fluid was equivalent to increasing Han Fei's upper limit of spiritual energy by 261 points. On average, 1 caddy of spirit awakening fluid increased his upper limit of spiritual energy by less than 1 point. The benefit of Han Fei's spirit awakening fluid was that his physique had become better. When Lu Rinquang arrived, Han Fei stopped cultivating. As soon as Lu Rinquang arrived, he said happily, "Huh. Fei Fei, have you made a breakthrough?" Han Fei asked, "Isn't it natural for me to make a breakthrough?" Lu Rinquang shook his head. "No, from a peak-level dangling fissure to a hanging fissure. It doesn't seem that simple. I'm still a little short. I thought I would be faster than you, but who knew that you would make a breakthrough first?" Han Fei nodded. "I just made a breakthrough and need to consolidate. By the way, I have something to tell you." Lu Rinquang nodded. "Why are you so polite?" "Let's eat hot pot." Han Fei immediately said, "Give me your waist tag." "Huh." Han Fei immediately matched Lu Rinquang's waist tag with his own. With a thought, he transferred all his remaining 5 million points to Lu Rinquang. "Oh," Lu Rinquang said excitedly, "for me? Did you make a fortune?" "Ha ha ha. I'm rich, I'm rich." Han Fei rolled his eyes. "Bullshit. You think too much. I gave you all my belongings so that you could help me buy some things from the logistics division." Lu Rinquang's body stiffened and his face was even uglier than crying. "Huh. It's not for me." Han Fei was helpless. "Even if I wanted to give something, I would give it to Xia Shaochan. Why should I give it to you?" Lu Rinquang said with a sad face, "I knew it wouldn't be a good thing." "Tell me, what do you want?" Han Fei said, "I want as many level 2 soul crystals as I can. In addition, help me buy a lot of poisonous grasses, poisonous fruits, and other materials between level 30 and level 40. Lu Rinquang was taken aback. "Level 2 soul crystals? You've already used level 2 soul crystals." Han Fei asked, "Can't I absorb them quickly?" Lu Rinquang explained, "The things on the rare exchange list are all limited. Although I work in it." "Forget it, I'll try." Han Fei nodded. "Okay. I'll get them from you the next time we meet. By the way, if you need to use these points, you can also use them. But don't forget to buy them. If you don't have enough points, tell me." Lu Rinquang took a deep breath. "Is refining so profitable? Is it too late for me to change to refining now?" Han Fei said disdainfully, Talent is the key. Go away, I'm not here to chat with you today. I have to consolidate my cultivation. Go do your own thing." Lu Rinquang was speechless and was driven out of the refining room by Han Fei. He looked dumbfounded. "Hot pot. You don't even let me have a bite?" At night. In the number 18 refining room. Han Fei slowly opened his eyes and data appeared. Owner Han Fei, level greater than 43, junior hanging fissure, spiritual energy greater than 146,655, 9758, spiritual power 1, 588/1, 588, perception range greater than 14,499 meters, spiritual heritage level 5, high quality spiritual beast, twin yin-yang spirit swallowing fish, level 38, main art avoid breaking technique, volume 4 of void fishing, demon level, divine quality, add up the monthly votes and save them for one or more outbursts. Third chapter. Asking for votes. Attention, 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 the growth of the monthly votes has slowed down now. It may be a bit difficult to add chapters every day. Yesterday, someone in the book review suggested that we should add up the monthly votes and save them for a one-time outburst. I think this method is feasible. We can have an outburst every few days, or we can have more outbursts in the new year. What do you think? Today is the third chapter. No more at night, end of this chapter. Chapter 657. Working hard to earn points so far, Han Fei had almost used up 14.6 million points in one day. Although these consumption didn't seem to improve his combat power much, the improvement of his comprehensive ability was terrifying. This also meant that Han Fei had the power to protect himself on the Scattered Stars Island. Of course, in Han Fei's mind, those ordinary frontline soldiers and ordinary senior scouts were not his targets. Next, what Han Fei had to do was to accumulate military merits, kill 100 people, and find a way to get a 5-star rank. In theory, Han Fei could get a 5-star rank just by refining like Mu Jia, and Guan Qingyan. However, although they all had 5-star ranks, their goals were different. Mu Jia, and the others had high achievements in refining, so when they were assigned various tasks, the first thing the higher-ups thought of was to let them refine weapons. But Han Fei refined weapons for the sake of making money. If refining didn't make money, what was the point of refining? At this moment, Han Fei couldn't make any more breakthroughs. In terms of level, he had broken through to level 43. Although he hadn't reached the peak yet, once he reached the peak, he had to prepare to become an intermediate hanging fisher. In that case, his breakthrough speed would be too fast, which would definitely surprise many people, which was not a good thing. There was still one day before their rest day. Han Fei didn't plan to go back immediately but went to study arrays. The information inadvertently revealed by Guan Qingyan and Mu Jia, made Han Fei feel that it might be possible to refine divine weapons. However, he had just started to study arrays and still needed time to consolidate his knowledge. Before Han Fei started his research, Yu Lingyun had already found him. Han Fei was surprised. Why are you here? Did something happen to the skeleton shore? Yu Lingyun shook her head. No, the red demons attacked, so the skeleton shore has become the focus of attention recently, so it's been quiet during this period. Han Fei asked, then. Yu Lingyun looked at Han Fei with a complicated look. Captain, you and Captain Chao have been called to go to sea. Huh? Han Fei was taken aback. What? Called to go to sea? Who called you? It was the former Captain Zhong Han who came to inform us in person. It seems to be a task. Han Fei was lost for words. Wait. Aren't people of my level not allowed to go to sea? Yu Lingyun pondered for a moment. Captain, you're too high profile. Han Fei was surprised. Why am I high profile? Even though I have become a 3-star blacksmith, it has nothing to do with being high profile, right? Yu Lingyun asked, Captain, have you forgotten that you killed 2 red demons? Han Fei was lost for words. I didn't kill him with my own strength. How can this be considered high profile? Yu Lingyun tilted her head and looked at Han Fei. Won't it be high profile? Yu Lingyun had a complicated expression on her face. Han Fei rose too fast. More than 2 months ago, when she first picked Han Fei up, he was only an advanced dangling fisher. It only took him 2 months to become a junior hanging fisher. Although it was not that no one could catch up to Han Fei's cultivation speed, such people were few and far between. Yu Lingyun felt that she had encountered a genius among geniuses. Han Fei had led them to sea no more than 20 times so far, but he had changed a batch of weapons for the entire 8th Battalion. Besides, after several battles, Han Fei's performance was excellent, which was already very eye-catching. Yu Lingyun had long felt that people like Han Fei wouldn't stay in the 8th Battalion for long. Sure enough, it had only been more than 2 months, and Han Fei was already qualified to go to sea. Han Fei asked, "Tell me first, what is the situation of going to sea? Is there any inside story?" Yu Lingyun shook her head. "I don't know, although you and Captain Chow are both geniuses. Although you and Captain Chow are both geniuses, it stands to reason that with your current strength, you shouldn't go to sea. So I guess there will be a lot of people traveling with you. And there should be strong masters protecting you." Han Fei frowned. "Then what should I do now? Should I go back to the skeleton shore and wait?" "No, Captain Zhong Han asked me to tell you that the gathering place is in the Sea God Square in the central city of the Scattered Stars Island." Sea God Square? Where is that? Yu Lingyun explained, "I've only been there once. It's just a square outside the central city, with a statue of the sea god. Other than that, there doesn't seem to be anything special. I only know that the Sea God Square is outside the central city of the Scattered Stars Island, at the junction of the Transverse Mountain and the Twisted Jungle." Han Fei asked, "Where is Chao Chiu? Why didn't he come?" "Captain Chow has already gone there. Captain Zhong Han asked you to go there early too. We have to gather tomorrow morning." Han Fei suddenly said, "Then let's go. Who will lead the 8th Battalion?" "Captain Zhong Han will take over for the time being. When you come back, you should still be in the 8th Battalion for the time being." Just as Han Fei and Yu Lingyun were talking in the refining hall, they found that Luo Xiaobai and Lu Renquang came together. Lu Renquang said, "Fei Fei, I have something to tell you." Han Fei tilted his head and looked at the two of them. "Are you going to the Sea God Square?" Lu Renquang was stunned. "You know this too?" Luo Xiaobai had already become a hanging fisher. She glanced at Han Fei. "If there are no accidents, I'm afraid Xiao Chan and Zhang Xuanyu will also go." Yu Lingyun still remembered that these two were Han Fei's original team members. At this moment, she was secretly surprised. Is this team really so powerful? Especially Lu Renquang. This guy hasn't become a hanging fisher yet, right? How can he go to sea? Han Fei looked at Yu Lingyun and said, "Why don't you go back first?" Yu Lingyun took a deep look at them. "Okay." After Yu Lingyun left, Lu Renquang couldn't help whispering, "Fei Fei, this woman looks so fierce." Han Fei asked, "Really? Don't think she looks fierce just because she has a scar on her face. You cut your face twice, but you look even fiercer." Luo Xiaobai looked at Han Fei. "Han Fei, your breakthrough seems a bit fast." Han Fei asked in surprise, "Fast?" Luo Xiaobai said, "Don't forget, you are a body cultivator. Besides, I feel that you have now completely consolidated your realm as a junior hanging fisher." Han Fei said with a smile, "It's okay. I probably won't make another breakthrough during this period of time. Although my realm has increased, my physique is not much stronger. I still need some time to adapt." Luo Xiaobai nodded. "Let's go. Let's meet Xiao Chan and the others first." Han Fei and Lu Renquang were both stunned. "Are you in such a hurry?" Luo Xiaobai said, "If I'm not mistaken, many disciples of the big clans and sects in the Thousand-Star City have come." Han Fei's face changed slightly. "Let's go. Let's go." When he saw Chao Chiu, Han Fei knew that the younger generation of the Thousand-Star City had come. However, the Scattered Stars Island was not small, and he stayed on the skeleton shore for a long time, so he didn't meet those people. But at this moment, hearing what Luo Xiaobai said, it should be more or less the same. Along the way, Luo Xiaobai said, "If my guess is right, the reason why we were gathered should be a group of the most outstanding newcomers selected by the Scattered Stars Island according to the observation of the newcomers in the past 2 months. And the so-called sea trip shouldn't be too far away. Otherwise, with so many geniuses gathered, it will be easy to cause the sea demons to attack. If something happens, the loss will outweigh the gain." Han Fei frowned slightly. "If this is the case, Lu Renquang, do you want to make a breakthrough?" Lu Renquang nodded. "Temporary breakthroughs are not stable. It's better to make a breakthrough after coming back. The longer I stay here, the more powerful I will be after the breakthrough. Luo Xiaobai nodded. If the 5 of us can get together, it shouldn't be a big problem. Going to sea is not a small matter, and there must be masters following us, so I'm afraid we don't need to do anything. Over the Scattered Stars Island, the fishing boat couldn't be fast, so it took Han Fei and the others half an hour to fly to the Sea God Square in the middle of the Scattered Stars Island. Han Fei lay on the bow of the boat, looked at the city below, and judged from the layout of the lights, this central city doesn't seem to cover a large area. Luo Xiaobai said, the central city is actually not a city, but more like a place for high-level masters. Here, there are many masters, and some supreme orders and special personnel appointments are issued from here. Soon, they came to the so-called Sea God Square. Arriving with Han Fei and the others were 5 or 6 fishing boats flying over from other directions. Among them, Han Fei saw a familiar person, Zhang Wen from the Zhang family of the Thousand Star City. Zhang Wen obviously also noticed Han Fei. At the moment he saw Han Fei, his head was about to explode. Since he returned to the Thousand Star City from the level 3 fishery, the fact that Zhang Wen was killed on the ground and had his head stomped on in 3 seconds couldn't be concealed at all. For this, he almost broke down. The people in his family didn't like him anymore, and he received fewer family resources. There were also quite a few people who were secretly laughing at him. Han Fei waved his hand enthusiastically. Oh! What a coincidence! Humph! Zhang Wen flew away with a swish, not wanting to talk to Han Fei. When Han Fei and the others landed, Xia Shaochan and Zhang Xuanyu ran over as soon as possible. Xia Shaochan nodded. This way. Zhang Xuanyu nodded. You're all here. Great, we can finally go to sea together again. Han Fei looked around. There were a lot of people here, more than 300. Among them, Han Fei found many familiar faces. In the 36 towns, Han Fei found Jiang Tong, Ming Kuan, Jing Changfeng, Gong Yuehan, Chu Sun, Lu Wuwei, Yu Xian from the 7 major sects of the Thousand Star City, Mo Fian, Yang Diyu, Sun Mu, the Li brothers, Wang Zitian from the big clans. In addition, Han Fei was surprised to find that Mu Jia and Guan Qingyan were also among them. However, Han Fei immediately discovered that Chao Tian, Chen Aochen, Tang Gu, Chao Jiaran, Mu Ling, and Yi Baiyu were not there, asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 658. When Han Fei came, Yang De immediately roared, Han Fei, here you are again. Han Fei sneered. What? Do you want to fight me? Yang De scoffed. Do you think I'm afraid of you? I just forged a new divine axe and I'm worried that no one will fight me. Han Fei grinned. If you have enough money, you can have a try. With 2 heaven-level high-quality combat skills, I can make you doubt your life. Xia Shaochan poked Han Fei. Xia Shaochan poked Han Fei. Axe combat skills are useless to us. Han Fei thought about it. She was right. He quickly changed his tone. No heaven-level high-quality combat skills. With 10 million high-quality pearls, I'll make you doubt your life. Zhang Wen's face darkened. He had been blackmailed. However, he and Yi Baiyu had agreed not to tell anyone that he had been blackmailed of a heaven-level high-quality combat skill. Especially when the dragon boat was hijacked, Zhang Wen really wanted to kill Han Fei. He thought that Han Fei couldn't rob the dragon boat. However, this guy robbed it and killed a peak-level hanging fisher. At that time, how strong was Han Fei? He was just an advanced dangling fisher. Now, how strong was Han Fei? He was already a junior hanging fisher. For people like Han Fei, it was very dangerous to judge from his level alone. Besides, he had not only made a step forward, but also made a big step forward. As soon as Yang De heard this, he said to the Li brothers next to him, I won't give him a chance. If I can't beat him, I will run away. Mo Fian snorted. The question is whether you can run away or not. Chao Qiu dragged 2 swords and jumped towards Han Fei. Han Fei, our team has grown. Let's kill them this time. 2 swords said coldly, haha. You think too much. Han Fei looked at Chao Qiu curiously. Where are your brother and sister? Tang Gu and Mu Ling. Where is Yi Baiyu? Chao Qiu shrugged. I don't know. I haven't seen them since I came to this place. 2 swords said, not everyone will come. Some people are too outstanding and can choose not to come. Of the people you mentioned, Yi Baiyu is the weakest, but he is the fastest. Therefore, he is also one of those rare geniuses. Han Fei frowned. Could Tang Gu and the others not come? This doesn't make sense. If these people were all here, Tang Gu and the others should be here too. While Han Fei was thinking, Zhang Xuanyu suddenly chuckled. Hey! Do you know, young lady? I saw you for the first time in the crowd. In this sea of people, everyone else is black and white, only you are colorful. You're like a gorgeous flower that can topple a city, so outstanding, so enchanting. As soon as Han Fei looked back, he saw Mu Jia, blushing and standing shyly in front of Zhang Xuanyu, her hands tugging at the corners of her clothes. You. Why are you standing in my way? Zhang Xuanyu's expression turned serious. Why am I in the way? Yes, the road is here, and you and I are walking on it. This is a kind of fate that brought you and I together. Mu Jia had never experienced such a scene, and her face was already red. Guan Qingyan directly grabbed Mu Jia's little braid and pulled her aside. Don't be fooled by flowery words. Mu Jia said stupidly, but, I'm nervous. Zhang Xuanyu glanced at Guan Qingyan disdainfully. This kind of cold-faced killer wouldn't work on little girls. Zhang Xuanyu took a step, stood in front of Mu Jia again, and said with a smile, look, we meet again on the road under our feet. Bam! Han Fei went up and kicked Zhang Xuanyu aside. Han Fei said to him via voice transmission with a black face, if you want to pick up girls, do it in private. This girl has a 5-star rank and her background is not small. Don't try to get close to her. Zhang Xuanyu glanced at Mu Jia regretfully and said, girl, it's okay. Fate will bring us together again. At the same time, Zhang Xuanyu said to Han Fei via voice transmission, come on, Fei Fei. Who is this girl? What's her name? She's so fucking cute. Do you know her? Introduce me. You have to match us. Han Fei ignored Zhang Xuanyu with a black face, coughed, pointed to Mu Jia, and Guan Qingyan, and said, these two are the 2 genius refiners of the Scattered Stars Island. Mu Jia, and Guan Qingyan are both 5-star refiners who conceal souls. Chao Qiu rolled his eyes and said, silly Mu, why are you here? Wang Zitian frowned. Are you going to fight too? Mu Jia, snorted. It's none of your business. You coward. Chao Qiu said angrily, who's a coward? Make it clear. Am I a coward? I'm using my brain. Mu Jia, pouted. You are a coward, a coward. Han Fei was taken aback. Do you know each other? The 2 major refiner families of the 1,000-star city, the Mu family and the Guan family. Han Fei pondered for a moment. Then these 2 families must have a strong background. Although he didn't know why these 2 people were also in the team this time, these 2 people were definitely targets for him to rope in. A refiner represented an endless supply of supreme-grade spiritual weapons, which would only be beneficial to his team and not detrimental to them. Besides, he had offended so many families in the 1,000-star city, so he had to win over these refiner families, right? After everyone introduced themselves, Mu Jia suddenly grabbed Han Fei's clothes. Liar, you are not from our 1,000-star city. Why do I feel that you know all of them? Swish. Han Fei's body stiffened and he hurriedly said, let go of me, let go of me. Mu Jia was still in a daze, and the surrounding temperature dropped with a whoosh. Mu Jia shuddered. She turned her head and saw a face that was a little too exquisite. However, the owner of this face had a cold gleam in his eyes at this moment, which scared Mu Jia so much that she quickly let go of him. Xia Shaochan looked at Mu Jia up and down. You look pretty. Han Fei nodded. Really? No, I'm definitely not as pretty as you. Xia Shaochan tilted her head and smiled. Really? Han Fei immediately patted his chest. Of course. Few people can compare to you in terms of appearance. Mu Jia bared her teeth when she heard this. Feeling that the situation was not good, Chao Qiu suddenly roared, stood between the two women, and pointed to the sky. Look! Everyone looked up in the direction Chao Qiu pointed. After looking for a long time, Lu Renquang scratched his head and asked, Is there anything? Chao Qiu said, The starry sky is so beautiful. Puff! Everyone really wanted to kick Chao Qiu into the sky. What the fuck is the starry sky beautiful? Only Han Fei immediately said, Ah. It's not bad. Look, meteors. Then. There was an indescribable silence. Until Mo Fian came over with a giggle. Yo! Little Guan Guan, Jia, why don't you say hello to me? Mu Jia, stood directly behind Guan Qingyan. She was a little afraid of Mo Fian. She always felt that she was a stupid loli when it came to the sexy and coquettish Mo Fian. Guan Qingyan, on the other hand, nodded indifferently as a greeting. Then Mo Fian looked at Han Fei. We meet again. Do you know? Because of you, we suffered a lot in the Thousand-Star City. This time, we met on the Scattered Stars Island. Is it really fate? Han Fei glanced at Mo Fian and said lightly, Now we are in the same realm. You basically have no chance. Mo Fian grinned. Really? I'm looking forward to it. By the way, you can really consider being the son-in-law of our Mo family. In fact, it's really not bad. Hearing that, Han Fei just took a step aside. Mu Jia was silly and sweet, and Xia Shaochan wouldn't really mind. Han Fei didn't say anything to Mo Fian's teasing and just let Xia Shaochan go. Sure enough, Xia Shaochan appeared in front of Mo Fian in a flash. With a splash, Mo Fian turned into a mass of water, and her body had already appeared dozens of meters away. Then, shadows flickered on the ground, and Mo Fian drew out a few water figures. Seeing that Mo Fian could create clones, Xia Shaochan's shadowless blade flashed in the air and immediately forced Mo Fian's snake-shaped chain weapon out. Luo Xiaobai said, Shaochan, come back. Xia Shaochan flashed and returned to everyone. On the other side, Mo Fian glanced at the clothes cut by Xia Shaochan on her arm and couldn't help but frown. Although the battle between the two was very fast, the combat skills used by the two were extremely terrifying. Especially those from the 36 towns, such as Ming Kuan, Jing Changfeng, Jiang Tong, and others, they all felt that their hair was standing on end. It seemed that they hadn't seen Xia Shaochan fight before. But just a few moves just now had already made these people's blood freeze. It was too fast. Xia Shaochan pointed at Mo Fian with a dagger. No one likes people like you. Mo Fian's face was black. So, on the steps into the sea that day, it was you, right? Straight woman. Xia Shaochan tilted her head and looked at Han Fei. What do you mean? Han Fei suddenly felt a headache. Ah. It means that you are very strong, outrageously strong. Xia Shaochan proudly withdrew her dagger. I know. The second chapter. Asking for votes, end of this chapter. Chapter 659. At dawn, there was a glimmer of light in the sky. Most people were sitting cross-legged and cultivating, including Xia Shaochan and the others. However, there were two figures sitting in the corner with serious looks on their faces. They were holding branches in their hands and seemed to be drawing something. Guan Qingyan said solemnly, I've read all the ancient books in my family. The difficulty of arrays is not in drawing, but in the conception of the structure. Any type of formation has something in common. For example, if you inscribe a lot of small formations, when faced with an interlocking large formation, over time, you will be able to get rid of the complexity and become a large formation. Han Fei frowned. I know this. The key to the problem is not the small array, nor the big array, but the step of simplifying the complicated array. Only after this step can you evolve the small array into a big array. Guan Qingyan nodded. Then you can only familiarize yourself with them and use one or several arrays to the extreme. Only then can you know which ones can be removed and which ones must be left. With that, Guan Qingyan began to draw an array. What he drew was a simple defense array. The lines were extending like cracks in a tortoise shell, but the speed was not fast. Guan Qingyan said, I'm slow because I'm not a spirit gatherer. Look here, this crack in the array. In fact, I don't know what this crack should look like. I just let it form naturally. Han Fei was speechless. Naturally? Can you draw this defense array? Guan Qingyan nodded seriously. Yes. Between heaven and earth, everything has its own rules. All uncertainties are actually contained in a certain certainty. The corner of Han Fei's mouth twitched. Sophistry. Guan Qingyan said, you are a spirit gatherer. You should be most familiar with spirit gathering arrays. Try it. Han Fei nodded. Without even moving his hands, a spirit gathering array appeared directly under Han Fei's butt. Guan Qingyan froze for a moment. So fast. How did you do it? The way you learn to be a spirit gatherer is wrong. Spiritual energy is both dead and alive. You can only guide it, not force it. By the way, have you learned the pupil technique? Guan Qingyan nodded. Yes. However, it's not easy to become a spirit gatherer. It's simple. I'll teach you later. Tell me, what's wrong with my array first? Guan Qingyan said, your array is very good, but your array has no soul. Han Fei was lost for words. An array is an array. How can there be a soul? Do you think this is a spirit artifact? Guan Qingyan shook his head. I'm not talking about this. You drew the array very quickly and accurately, but you were too rigid. You can try to draw the formation a little slower. Then, when you feel that you can draw it however you want without causing the formation to fail, you can try letting the spirit chi escape on its own. Skeptical, Han Fei began to carve the spirit gathering array in an extremely slow way that he had never imagined. When the eye of the array was established, Han Fei knew that the spirit gathering array had been completed. Later on, even if he made a mistake, he could still correct it. Therefore, Han Fei no longer restricted the original method of carving arrays, no longer restrained and guided the spiritual energy, and let it run wild. Immediately, the spirit gathering formation changed, and spirit chi that fluctuated between strong and weak gathered. Huh. Interesting. Old Guan, although you look a little cold, you seem to have some talent in drawing arrays. Guan Qingyan nodded. It's passed down from my ancestors. Look at you now, you are creating an array. Although it's only minimally invasive, it's also a kind of innovation. Han Fei was immediately amused, and then he felt dozens of perceptions sweeping over. However, Han Fei didn't care about them at all, because others couldn't understand it at all. After letting the spiritual energy flow, even Han Fei himself couldn't understand the array, let alone others. Han Fei thought for a moment. This Guan Qingyan was quite capable. According to his idea, he might really be able to create a new array. If Guan Qingyan became a spirit gatherer, then it might be much easier to discuss. Immediately, Han Fei said, don't you want to become a spirit gatherer? I'll teach you. Everyone, wake up. It wasn't until a heavy shout came from the sky that Han Fei and Guan Qingyan stopped discussing. Last night, Han Fei was going to lie there with Xia Shaochan and watch the stars. As a result, Guan Qingyan, the cold-faced man, came over and untimely asked Han Fei about the relationship between arrays, spirit gatherers, and refining. Originally, Han Fei wanted to send this guy away. However, Guan Qingyan drew a killing array for Han Fei to demonstrate. Although it was slow, he succeeded and immediately attracted Han Fei's attention. This almost made Xia Shaochan die of anger. And Guan Qingyan naturally had his own purpose. He wanted to learn Han Fei's methods as a spirit gatherer. After all, Han Fei's spiritual energy manipulation methods amazed him. Therefore, Guan Qingyan exchanged his understanding of arrays with Han Fei. In this way, the two could discuss arrays for a whole night. The two of them benefited greatly from this discussion. In the morning, Xia Shaochan yawned and said, "You should use the night to sleep, not to cultivate." Han Fei said, "Then next time, I'll set up a small tent for you." In the sky, dozens of fishing boats were suspended in midair. An 8-star powerhouse that no one seemed to know was standing on the bow of the boat, glancing at everyone indifferently. "First of all, congratulations to you. You are the best group of all the newcomers on the Scattered Stars Island in the past 6 months." As he spoke, the 8-star powerhouse suddenly released his aura. This pressure was not weak, and Han Fei felt as if he had met a peak-level hanging fisher head-on. Of the more than 300 people on the Sea God Square, only one person was shocked and took a step back. Immediately, the 8-star powerhouse said to the man, "You can go." The man was a little dumbfounded. He had waited here all night, only to hear this person say a few words and release his pressure, and he was driven away. The man immediately blushed. 300 people. Was he the only one who felt fear just now? The man didn't dare to stay any longer. He immediately controlled the fishing boat and flew out of the Sea God Square. The 8-star powerhouse continued, "My name is Zheng Chaojie, but you don't have to remember my name. You just need to know that I am Adjudicator Zheng. This time, I will take you to experience the battlefield on the periphery of the Scattered Stars Island. Of course, today you need to fight, a very dangerous battle, with a casualty rate of more than 30%. All the survivors will be promoted from 3-star to 4-star, and 4-star will be rewarded with extra points. Or, you can choose to leave. Those who leave will be rewarded with 100,000 points. More than 30% casualty rate. Many people looked solemn. All the people who came here today were geniuses. What kind of battle was it that could kill more than 30% of so many geniuses? Some people were horrified, while others felt that this was an opportunity to prove themselves and show their faces in front of the adjudicator. The so-called adjudicator was actually just a title. Among the 8-star powerhouses, some were brigadier generals, who were good at commanding. Some were kiliarchs, who were good at fighting. Some were adjudicators, who were the most powerful and could be regarded as the finale. Since this person called himself adjudicator, it meant that this person was extraordinarily strong. Chao Qiu was about to say that he was going to leave, when 2 hands were put on his shoulders. Wang Zitian raised 1 hand. Han Fei raised 1 hand. "You have so many poisons. What are you afraid of?" Adjudicator Zheng glanced at Chao Qiu and said, "Since no one wants to quit, then get on the fishing boat. Seeing is believing, no matter how much you say." Hundreds of fishing boats followed Adjudicator Zheng's fishing boat and quickly flew to the south of the Scattered Stars Island. With the adjudicator leading the way, the fishing boat was fast. In less than half an hour, they had already left the sea. After more than 500 kilometers away from the sea, the first thing Han Fei and the others discovered was that a large number of birds were hovering in the sky. When Han Fei scouted the coast before, he had seen flocks of birds. However, those birds didn't fly low. They flew directly over the high sky and flew into the deep sea. At this moment, Han Fei and the others discovered something. There was more than one kind of bird here. There were as many as dozens of species of birds. Some birds were in large numbers, some were in groups of dozens, some were hovering alone, and some were flying close to the sea. Everyone's eyes swept to the bird flying close to the sea. In their field of vision, there was a big bird with a wingspan of 7 or 8 meters. This bird was extremely fast. When flying on the sea, everyone could see its wings cutting through the air, leaving white marks. On the surface of the water, wherever the bird passed, it would leave a long trail of water. Plop! At that moment, no one saw how this bird entered the sea, only the splash. In the next second, a shadow broke out of the water. On the sharp claws of that big bird, a flying fish more than 3 meters long, soared up and flew straight into the sky. Han Fei felt his scalp go numb. This thing is not a bird at all. It's even more ferocious than a fighter jet. Before the cultivators realized what was going on, it had already grabbed the fish and flew into the sky. The many strong masters in front didn't explain, nor did they bother to explain. In their opinion, when Han Fei and the others grew up, they would naturally know, and there was no need to explain anything to these young people. Soon, the sea of thousands of kilometers passed. Everyone looked down and could see inferior manfish skimming out of the water from time to time. Some of the more stupid ones would even stand on the water with harpoons, swaggering at the fishing boats passing by in the sky. After another 300 kilometers, they saw thousands of half-mermaids, red demons, and inferior manfish waiting on the sea in the distance. The half-mermaid at the front was wearing a golden battle suit, holding a golden harpoon, and under him was a crab more than 100 meters long, whose pincers were as thick as the stone wall on a cliff. There were also half-mermaids, some standing on the back of sharks, some standing on the head of jellyfish, and some standing on the shell of lobsters. They seemed to be going to war with humans. A large group of red demons stood on their side, followed by the inferior manfish, lined up in the sea like guards. At this time, everyone could clearly see a huge crack here. Above the crack, the color of the seawater was dark blue, which was completely different from the seawater in other places. Adjudicator Zheng said, "Remember this place. This is the beginning of your trial on the Scattered Stars Island. This place is called Heaven Human Strait." A 7-star hidden fisher added, "Remember, in this battle, you must cooperate with each other. Don't panic. Only after you pass this test will you be geniuses. If you can't pass this test, you are nothing." The third chapter. Asking for votes. After these 3 chapters, the plot will be relatively compact and rich from tomorrow onwards. I need both monthly votes and recommendation votes. If you want to explode, just wait for the votes. Well. End of this chapter. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.